believe that this is where we hold the courts accountable, and we can start to get courts that we can actually see justice in. Because I mean, I was trying to bring back a lot of things, King's Bench and so on and so forth, because we needed a court to actually get justice, because the courts have been, well, they're not courts. And that's what we're pointing out. And that's what Anthony's pointed out. So that's about, basically, I won't go into the details of the stuff, but this is what I'm focused on now, because I believe strongly within inside myself now. I've seen the reality of the illusion, and now I can see them plain as day that they're all acting, and this pulls them out and holds them to account, because they can't produce you the evidence to say that they are legitimate and that they have any authority, because they don't, because they're all counterfeit. So that's me done.
Thanks, Anthony.
Go on then, John. You there, John? Can you hear us?
Throw on his back. I think he's freezing.
Keeps freezing.
John Hurst, you can see me in the video. It's not moving at the moment.
Yeah.
I've come over from the other side. If you spoke to me 25 years ago, I was a keen and active policeman, Queen and Country, salute the flag. And then I woke up, but I woke up before I retired, which meant that I've had access to law libraries. Law library, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We've lost you.
I don't suppose anybody here, unless there are
John, do you want to tell you what?
actually lawyers had access to a law library.
John, do you want to
lawyers
just
and magicians, like magicians, they keep their spells hidden. How they do that? Ransack the Commissioner's Law Library in Scotland Yard, and I've retained that. So I'm positioned to report that our ancestors resolved these problems a long time ago by means of the grand jury and the voluntary bill of indictment. So I've I've been associated with Brian Garrison UK Column for some time, and we used to have big set piece events and do presentations on the various topics that had been researched by myself and others, and there's a library of these that is accessible. And what I propose is that we activate grand juries in each county to hold corrupt officials to account,
Yes.
and particularly chief constables for being the head of an insurrection. That they're the enemy, not us. And I would argue we're in a state of martial law. I'm able to prove that every good man and true has got a duty to do something about it. At the end of the day, force is the final arbiter in human affairs. But before force can be justified, we've got to try the courts, because the contract we have with the Crown is they provide justice and defence of the realm, and we provide allegiance and taxes. But if you spoke to me 25 years ago, I thought that was a non-negotiable contract. But I've discovered something called diffidatio. Anyone here heard of diffidatio? It's a feudal concept, which is part of our common law. When an official breaks his contracts, the person who's sworn allegiance is absolved. That, in fact, is one of the two legal principles that Magna Carta is based on. Diffidatio, withdrawal of allegiance; trial by battle, which sets who's the new king. And then then there can be a constitutional convention, and new safeguards can be set up for the future. This is reflected in the American Declaration of Independence. You remember the bit whenever through a long period of usurpations and tyranny, the people rise up, they're entitled to set new arrangements. That was done in 1688 with the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Rights, and I'm arguing it's time to do it again. So what I'm suggesting is we fight the insurrection to a standstill, and then have a constitutional convention and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I've got legal authorities to that effect, which I can share with you. Okay, over to the next one.
Okay, so over to you then, Anthony.
Hey, well, I was a good boy, so to speak, all along, working hard, making money, doing charity work, and then I got robbed by. It was a third time. I built myself up financially independent twice before. I got robbed. I didn't even recognize that I got robbed, but this time they literally took my home and other properties and threw me on the street, my little baby, and I decided it's do or die time. So I kept taking the property back, and they kept taking it like that, you know. And eventually, the same policeman, Peter Dearden, who told me the night before, he said, "I'm giving you a comfort blanket in your home, you and your family." 10 o'clock the next morning, I was arrested for trespass. In the same house, he says he got a comfort. I have it on. I have it. It's recorded. I have it recorded as well. The interview. And then it just went on and on until I was fighting my battle, trying to work with other people and learning. And I met Mr. Ebert, and it kind of just changed the game for me, because he taught me about the proceedings, because we're fighting all the time on the merits of a case. And I realized that none of these cases can stand up to scrutiny of the proceeding. They're all fake. They're going under the table. They don't have the necessary material that they could file in a lawful court to make a lawful claim. So I started a petition called Court Order Scam, for obvious reasons. When I look for the name on Google, the word Court Order Scam yielded a return of 0. Today, Court Order Scam is yielding a return of 9 million. So we are influencing the algorithm, despite we have only 5,500 people signed the petition. But it's not just a petition, it's a whole big thing that a lot of people don't see that, but time is coming that we'll see. But basically, I feel like this is a way to have what I describe as a quiet revolution, because if you look on my case or read the petition, you will see the number of high-profile people who have resigned, from the land registry chief, lots of police officers, judges. The judge who sent me to jail, he resigned practically straight away. So I believe if half a dozen people follow what I'm doing, we will probably get a complete revolution, because none of the cases can be verified and validated as a legal and lawful case. And once you establish that, it's only a matter now, how do you get enforcement? Because there is no other battle to fight. So this is where I'm coming from, and we've won many cases. Guess what? We can't get any money for fees. The guy called Dragutin Popovich, we won his case on a bankruptcy, and he got 2 properties back that were taken. I sent a bill to the BDO trustees, and they just wrote back and said, "We're not paying it. We're not paying it. We're powerful, you're not, so just get lost." So this is the state of affairs that we have. I'm entitled to about half a dozen judgments on my own case, where everything is proven by confession, because Andrew knows a little bit how I work, and Steve is going to learn how I work. I think he's got a taste of it. We can get them very quickly to confess to their own crime. That's a wonderful idea, because it saves you all these distressing court battles. So we are hopefully going to progress and achieve a quiet revolution. And hopefully, I got it in writing from a court manager, signed on headed paper, exactly how they are doing the court thing. On that letter alone, the game is over. It's for people now, good people, to take the positions of responsibility and make sure the other people face a trial of some sort. And we're going to progress to a situation where once you establish by correspondence that your claim is not valid and it's fake, we're going to be putting a second step, that you send in a claim to the Lord Chancellor for financial settlement and ask the Lord Chancellor to commence criminal proceedings or resign. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing. A lot of it is based on the petition, www.scambuster.tv. And Andrew's been jumping on board with us. And I need a lot of help. I'm just one person.
Anthony, I've worked with Mr. Ebert and Dragatin.
Yeah.
It's no good asking a criminal to do the right thing. You have to make a criminal do the right thing.
Oh, I understand it. But what it is, if you get the criminal in a position where he cannot possibly argue that he is a criminal, you've established the standing that he's a criminal. Now you only have enforcement left.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm talking about. So Dragatin is well aware of my position on this. He's been screwed several times, as you know, and he hasn't got anywhere to speak of. He's been in prison several times.
Can I just interrupt, John? 2 seconds. Can I just, before we start getting started, guys, we're going to record this from now, yeah? I'm just going to inform everybody, obviously, that David's got to leave at 6 o'clock because he's got to go off to choir practice. I think he said yesterday. His choir practice is still going on. Forget COVID. Just a quick one, obviously, for everybody else. We've got Steve on the gym. He's got the reps gym in Preston. Everybody's seen the videos of him dealing with the police and really seriously dealing with them like a boss. And we got Sinead as well. Obviously, people would have heard of Sinead. She's a hairdresser from Leeds. She's been getting tortured completely from them. Aaron from Bristol, the tattoo shop. He's not here. There's another gentleman from Nick. He hasn't arrived. I brought this together with the knowledge of all you people here that are actually out there fighting the fight have all got a piece of the pie and a piece of the puzzle. And the way I see it, if we sit down and listen to each other and work together, all them pieces of the puzzle will sit alongside where they've got nowhere to move in any area of it. And then we go out and just show the world and show everybody else what to do. So we do the templates. The rest of us that aren't shop owners or people that are actually doing it, we're all people, just general people that want to help. So we want to do templates and letters and get everything right in the right space because you've all got a piece of the puzzle. And like I said, you just sit down together and work through it. That piece of the puzzle is unstoppable on all levels, on all areas. So they can't touch you. And then we can go and empower every shop owner out there to go out and get your business open. That's the way I look at it, and that's why this is here. So I'm going to let David speak now, guys, because like I said, he's going off to choir practice. So we'll give him a chat. Like I say, I just want to explain what David's got and everybody else has got to bring to the table. Anthony came on last week and explained what he's got, which is foolproof as far as I can see, but how much more can we add to it? And then what we'll do is we'll have another call later on and work out a little plan of action of how we can do it, what we can do next to go forward. Obviously, Anthony's already helping Steve, and I'm presuming he will get back on board and start helping Sinead as well. So, David, I'm going to let you talk, mate. This is David, the People's Lawyer. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube. My missus put me onto him.
David, you're muted.
You're muted, Dave. But as far as I can see, like everybody else in this room, you're coming from a heart-centered place.
Yeah, I've just been on another Zoom call, which made me cry because I had 30 people say thank you, David. And I thought I couldn't cope with that level of gratitude. Right, I'll be brief because I know time is short and there's a lot of you, and you all want to make your own amazing contributions. So. Yeah, I'm the People's Lawyer. I'm combining law with education. I'm moving back into education. So I'm educating people on law so that they can empower themselves and take part in this war, because that's what it is. I'm not so sure that military law, martial law has been declared, but it's kind of it's hovering above our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But in the meantime, we've got corporatocracy and technocracy and maybe a little bit of Chinese Communist Party thrown in. There's a little heady mix of dystopian, totalitarian elements that basically want to rip us off the land and, if necessary, get rid of us completely. So what I'm doing is going around the country and reminding people of who they are from being born, and what the implications of that are for their lives, because we have been indoctrinated into almost self-annihilation, very, very close to self-annihilation. I'm not worthy, I don't count, my voice won't be heard, and I don't care, and I'll just crack on with my life. Well, I tell people that that's couldn't be further from the truth. You know, the first line of the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. And it is the Word. It's your knowingness, your consciousness, and your words and your actions, even more than your words, but certainly your actions, that overpower any presumption or any dodgy paperwork that they throw at you. And Steve, bless him, hi Steve, is a living example that once you know who you are, you don't need paperwork, because that's their world. And so I'm now going around impressing upon people that this war is not being fought on paper. You can't fight a war on paper. You fight a war in your shoes, in boots, on the ground. So more specifically, and I've said this to the man at Burnage who runs a cafe, and he completely ignored me, which is why he got into trouble with the police. It's BAU, business as usual. You rock up to work, you do what you normally do, but you just stick up a privacy notice and a trespass notice and a fee schedule. You keep the door shut. You've gone private. You're on the land now. You're off the sea, and we all know what that means. I won't presume that anyone doesn't. You know, you're off. You're out of commerce. You're still doing business, but you're not in their world. You're in your own world. You're doing business with private patrons. And if anyone untoward comes, you keep the door shut. And ideally, if you've got one or two friends, there's the Peace Corps, that's CORE, based in Birmingham, that are going to soon be employed to assist business owners who are being harassed, and they will arrest police officers. You make no bones about it. We are soon going to be arresting police officers who are breaking the law. So we need a guy called Nick from Birmingham to be on the next call for him to tell you more about that. Anyway, so my remit, apart from educating people, is to remind people that they are the law. They are the law. I am the law. You are the law. And to enforce the law, all we have to do is be it and do it, which means peaceful, not causing harm, loss, or fraud, and going about our daily business. There are techniques you can use, like not engaging with officials and officers. Turn your back. Steve will be the first to tell you that when we rocked up to do a talk outside his gym, we were blocked by 30 officers. And long story short, I set up a table and a laptop, did my talk, got everyone to turn to me. And in so doing, they turned their backs on 30 officers. And that was the end of them. Yeah, this is a strange war where, ironically, you win it by turning your back. What kind of war is that? You don't engage. It's a really weird war, this one. You do not engage. And if you're engaged, you pull the plug. So you stop paying taxes, you stop paying council tax, you stop paying utilities. And I teach techniques for doing that with maximum efficiency and minimum fuss. And you engage, you stop feeding the beast, and feed your kids, feed yourself, don't feed the beast. So there's no need to have highfalutin legal arguments. They're ignored anyway, because we're dealing with criminals, and the more intelligent you are, the more they resent it and the more they come for you. So, so we have to be pragmatic, commonsensical, and take each day as it comes, help each other, listen to each other, shoulder arms, and like I say, be peaceful. I call it peaceful, self-loving non-compliance. That the beast needs our anger and resentment and our efforts. It feeds off it. It feeds off those efforts. So in whatever we're doing, it has to be effortless. All the effort has to come from them. So if you've shut your door and turned your back, what are they going to do? Are they going to break the door in and go to prison? I think not. You know, so, and a mistake that some groups are making is they're getting mobs together. Well, that's a recipe for disaster, because if you get a mob together, then it's mob rule, and then the police, they get a mob together, then it is all out warfare. Then it's best to be very discreet. Just have one or two trusted friends who will stand guard on the door and make sure that no one gets in apart from patrons with consent. So that's basically where my latest position is, and I'm about to engage on a nationwide tour. And if anyone from 77 Brigade is listening, I'll be doing it in Southern Ireland. So there you go. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to hearing other people. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David. Like I said, so there's a lot there where we can obviously take to the forefront to help these shopkeepers. We need to obviously explain and show them how to do all that. So then we're going to move on. So we need to at the back end. There's plenty of other areas we need. So I'm going to listen to John now. John's going to give us some information and obviously empower us a little bit with his knowledge. And then we're going to finish off with Anthony, because Anthony's is the finishing them off. Because when they ignore you, which they do, and as Steve's obviously at that point now, we need to be able to beat them at the end. So I'll let you go on, John. You can speak next, mate.
Okay, yeah, David, you're basically putting forward the three-man common law court format. Is that correct?
No.
Not correct. Okay, well, you're quoting some of it. Now, let's imagine you meet me 25 years ago, big boots and a pointy hat, and you said, I do not consent to that Act of Parliament. What do you think would happen?
I don't really care what happens. They haven't got my consent, and they can do what they want. If they do what we know they're going to do, they're breaking the law, and they will be arrested by Peace Corps. Okay.
No, the point I'm making is you'd be in the van, handcuffed. If you're lucky, you'd be the right way up, and you'd be in front of the next sitting of the magistrates' court.
Well, I've been using this technology, and I haven't had that treatment on myself. And the only people that get that treatment are people who are seen to be breaching the peace. If you stay calm, if you stay rational, if you stay peaceful and simply ask questions, then they have no reason, because they're using the Public Order Act. They're using.
Now, what's the difference between the police force now and 25 years ago?
Yeah, the police force now is no longer. They're not policing. I have been politically arrested twice in recent years. Once under COVID and once under. This is politics. It's not law. So whether you call it common law, sovereignty, it's all irrelevant. This is politics, and we need to be pragmatic, because the police are now employed to serve a political purpose.
Exactly, and it was started 25 years ago with the Sheehy report, then the Lawrence inquiry. The Police Act 1996 altered the oath, took away my sovereign the lady, and it's all happened since then. So your average constable these days is low IQ, low educational standards, and really doesn't know the law or the Constitution. So that's what we're up against. And the fact that they acquiesce to you doesn't actually prove a legal point, does it? It's only court precedent that proves points. So people need to get arrested and need to win in court, is my argument.
Well, I don't have any issue with that if that's what they're prepared to do, Andrew. But people who have used what we call loosely personal liability notices, written or oral, have been having reasonable success. It puts them off, because what you're doing is divide and conquer inverted. So we're dividing them from each other, saying, if you lay a finger on me, or if I end up in police custody for no lawful cause, and I will personally, and here's my notice, here's my fee schedule, I will personally claim against you, privately and personally. And when that was used in the London rallies, it was found to be working.
I agree. So I say an objective of the movement would be to educate constables as to what the common law is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting you say that, John. I'm actually looking at an organisation right now to bring on board to put this information out there, and it's called the Police Freedom, and it come from Spain.
I've seen that. There's an English policeman that's contributed, also Australian. Very good articles.
I just see this woman as a very heart-centered person,
Okay.
and she's going forward, and she's
Yeah.
just done the website for this country. So I've sent her an email this morning to get in contact with me.
Okay.
And that's exactly
Who
where I
here-
come from, as a place of we have to educate the police again. You know,
Exactly. Who here has heard of the Crown and Parliament Recognition Act 1689? Crown and Parliament Recognition Act 1689.
No.
Well, we had a revolution in the 1600s. We had civil wars, round 1 and 2. We had a revolution. We had a constitutional convention, and it produced 6 measures. One being the Coronation Oath Act 1688, one being the Bill of Rights, and the Crown and Parliament Recognition Act 1689 is an act in force now. And our ancestors had a brilliant insight. Prior to that, constitutional statutes like Magna Carta only addressed Crown officials. Crown officials can do that. Crown officials can't do that. But the 1689 Act requires everybody, every loyal subject, to comply with the Coronation Oath and the Bill of Rights. There are 13 articles in the Bill of Rights, and they're all prohibitions on what the Crown can do to you. It's an obligation for every Crown official to be properly taught. So let me give you an example. Next time you meet a Crown official, look it up for yourself first and ask him if he knows what's in the Coronation Oath. And if an official doesn't know what's in the Coronation Oath, it's prima facie misconduct in office, because how can he know he's complying with it?
Yeah.
You see the argument? It's a simple test. What's in the Coronation Oath? Don't know. You can't know you're complying with it. And that goes back to Article 45 of Magna Carta, another shrewd move. Article 45 Magna Carta: the Crown may have as servants none but true men who know the law and are minded to keep it well. So true men who know the law. So there must be education before a Crown official is allowed out. And if he breaches it, he breaches his oath. A person who's broken his oath, it's almost as serious as treason, in that he's excluded from Crown employment for life. So it really is a serious business. I've done a lot of research on this, and I've got various papers that I'd like to circulate before the next meeting, and various videos to draw your attention to. And I'm not being big-headed, but I think because I've been doing it since 1996, I've covered most of the angles. And if I don't, I know where to look it up. I'm gifted with this unusually good memory, and it's not my fault. My mother can do it, and well, could do it. She's dead now, but my daughter can. And so I'm prepared to share it with you. So I'm not saying you're wrong, David. I'm saying you haven't got the big picture. The fact that a constable doesn't know what the common law is automatically misconduct in office, and he should be disqualified until he's retrained and resworn. So that is one of the exercises. When I say educate the constables, that's what I mean. Retrain properly, examine, test, and then reswear.
Yeah, John, that is, I appreciate that information, and I owe you an apology. I think I called you Andrew because I've got the wrong glasses on, so I can now see that. Yeah, so that's wonderful information. I'll have a look at that, and I'll.
As far as grand jury is concerned, it goes like this: if the state has a monopoly on prosecuting, arresting people and prosecuting, what will it do?
Prosecute everybody.
Whatever the hell it likes. Yeah, exactly. So our wise ancestors, there are 2 sorts of jury. There's the grand jury and the petit jury. If legal principles are old enough, they have Norman French names. So grand means big, obviously.
Yeah.
David, I'm going to send you a link to a video that explains this. It's an hour and a half, but it's well worth it. And the grand jury worked like this. Once a year, the king would send judges around the country. They were called quarter sessions. Have you ever heard of that? So quarter of the year. Judges would arrive in a county, and they would inquire as to what crimes has been committed. They wanted to hear about them, and the population had a duty to give up criminals. And the reason is that everyone has a common law duty to maintain the Queen's peace or the King's peace, and a crime is a breach of the peace, inevitably. So anybody knew about a crime had to report it. It was called misprision of felon if you didn't, and you could get the same penalty as the felon. That's specifically retained in the Criminal Law Act 1967 sections 4 and 5, but I digress. So the justices would arrive and they would ask what had happened. Now, grand juries is a jury of between 12 and 23. The reason is that 12 is the majority. The common law rule is 12 may judge one. 12 may judge one so that he's put to death. It's quite a serious business. So I'll ask you to watch my video on grand juries, and what you find is that up until 1933, grand juries were regularly held. The government of the day, they suppressed them for some reason by passing an act of parliament, but they made an error. They missed something out, and private, individually instituted grand juries remain. So if you get 12 people together that investigate a crime and find out about it, and they decide there's a case to answer, they don't try the person, they just determine whether there's a case to answer. The Crown must put that person in front of a petit jury of 12. And the petit jury of 12 is what you know of now, where the rules of natural justice apply, the laws of evidence apply, witnesses have to appear in person, and there are safeguards. A person can have reasonable representation from a Mackenzie friend or a lawyer. The grand jury is the solution to corrupt officials, because once a grand jury has decided to present a case to the Crown must put that person on trial in front of a petit jury. And the way it's put into court is any High Court judge has the ability to use a procedure called voluntary bill of indictment. So voluntary bill of indictment is where you lay the information, the decision of the grand jury in front of a High Court judge, and he's obliged to put it in front of a petit jury, and it cuts out the CPS and the police. Because if the CPS and the police are corrupt, what will they do? Well, you'll end up with, Muslim child stealing gangs, won't you? And that's what's happened. You'll find if you go back far enough, there's nothing new under our sun, and our ancestors have addressed these problems in the past. We have a revolution in 1688. The 13 Articles of the Bill of Rights restate common law. They don't invent things out of thin air. They restate common law. And one of the Articles of the Bill of Rights says juries shall be duly impanelled. So our current constitution specifically requires us to impanel juries. When you're on a grand jury, you have legal immunity. They're held in secret, and everyone on it is sworn to secrecy as well. The concept has been tried, but we've always run out of money. And the reason it goes like this: starting a private prosecution is free. The Crown have given themselves a monopoly of only a barrister can address a court, and it costs about £3,000 a day. So what we need to do is have a grand jury in every county, investigate misconduct in office by officials. And the misconduct I think to look at in COVID terms is the validity of an act of parliament the courts won't challenge. The validity of the legal validity of a regulation they will, but they've refused it already. Do you remember that Mr. Bannon a couple of weeks ago applied to have the validity of the COVID regulations turned down, challenged, and the court wouldn't have it. But the individual decision of the Secretary of State, the Secretary of State for Health in England and the Secretary of State for Health in Wales, they're the buggers that have imposed the restrictions on us, and that's a decision that they've made. And you could argue it's oppressive because it's too severe. More people are dying than they're saving, and that makes it void and of no effect. Magna Carta has 63 articles. If you look at the last sentence of Article 61, it says any decision that's contrary to the law is void, and I shall not rely on it. What that means is the Crown can't rely on a void decision. There's a whole body of law to do with void legal decisions. In actual fact, any sort of corruption, any breach of natural justice, are caught by that, and it hasn't been taught. And one of the reasons lawyers behave badly is because ever since 1971 they haven't been properly legally trained. I'll send you a document which explains what I found out about that. And the reason lawyers don't know the coronation oath is it's specifically the Constitution was taken out of their syllabus, so they know nothing, and that's why I say the object of the exercise for the revolution should be to retrain all Crown officials, not just constables, and execute for treason the really bad ones, and retrain and reswear the ignorant ones. So that's my position.
John,
any questions?
Obviously you can understand where John's coming from a little bit. You can see where David's coming from. Now we're going to bring Anthony into this. Anthony's taking so this is more for Sinead and Stephen at the moment, because where you are right now is these fines and everything else. Anthony, go on, mate. I'll let you crack on.
Well, first of all, I'm very impressed with the knowledge and depth of John's information. The thing is, in my experience, you know, I consider myself like a social entrepreneur. I like to make money, have fun, and help people. That's kind of my recipe for life. So I don't really have the time, patience, and whatever else it takes to learn all these things, because it's a bit like the Holy Bible or the Quran. There's over 1,000 denominations based on the same Bible, each and every one of them saying, if you don't follow this path, you're going to hell. So this is the problem we have when you have a lot of writings.
Our ancestors dealt with that by saying ignorance no excuse, you pay the price for your ignorance.
Fine. But I'm saying to you, if you don't follow my ideology, you're going to hell.
Our ancestors dealt with that. A private person can't have a legal opinion. What they can do is regulate their conduct by acts of parliament and regulations and decided cases. And if anyone challenges them, they can only do it on the basis of reference to those sources. So you can't say, I can't be bothered to study, and you can't say, I don't know what to study. You'll pay the price. So everybody gets.
What I'm saying is, at any time you delve into written subject matter, like for example the civil procedure rules, I forgot how many thousand pages it's a thick book that falls over on itself if you try to open it. I had one somewhere and it was breaking my shelf.
Well, it's no good having the book. You should do it online because it's updated every year and it's reasonably
okay. But I'm just, as an example, I'm just saying that's one level, and you obviously are well studied. You've had a lot of time. You've been in the police. You know, you're an unusual individual in this respect. Yeah.
A friend of mine said I'm probably on the low end of the autism spectrum. So there we are. I can't help it. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Probably 2 notches above me. But the thing is, a couple of the things you said.
Can we just stop there? There's
Yeah.
no such thing as autism. You're a gifted man. Simple. That's
No,
their label. That is their label.
I think we're all gifted in some ways.
Exactly.
But, you know, one of the things I'm just gonna pick up on what John said about a decision contrary to law is void. You know, it's a very good point. But where I am living and working, the sweet spot that I've discovered, John, is this. None of the bloody cases against us and against all these victims, repossession, children, whatever, are actually valid cases. So we don't even have a starting point for the bad guys.
Our ancestors cover that in Article 3 of the Bill of Rights, which forbids ecclesiastical courts. So an ecclesiastical court was a court where the rules of natural justice aren't followed. So a family court being a classic example. I can't say too much because I'm sworn to silence for about half a dozen cases I've been to in the family courts. And the civil courts these days, where they don't allow juries, if you look at the County Courts Act 1984, you'll find it has got provision of juries. It's just they stopped doing it. So that's the problem. A jury is our final defence.
Yeah, but coming back to, you know, I have a lot of trouble telling people certain things that for some reason, it's a bit like a magic trick. I've been trying to tell my son the last 3 years, he's about 9 or so, in a diplomatic way, asking a few questions about Santa Claus, because I felt a little bit bad with telling him about Santa Claus, and at some point he's gonna call us liars, you know. And I've read some things that it does affect people over their lifetime when they discover that the world was lying to them about Santa Claus. So I said it diplomatically, son, where is all this Santa Claus? How come he's, in Manchester and he's in Burr? Oh, I asked him a lot of questions, 3 years in a row. And every time he tells me the same answer. Dad, don't be stupid. All the teachers said it. He's real. He's on the TV. I send him a letter and he sends me presents. Yeah. So he has all the answers. What has happened psychologically is that we all have, when we get information or observation or whatever, we have a critical faculty that we analyze things, and then we see if it's, bona fide, and then we somehow allow it inside our belief system. Once something gets into our belief system, our brain no longer questions it. As a matter of fact, our brain is programmed to defend it once it's there. How it gets there, it doesn't matter. So if I can...
our ancestors dealt with this problem. The solution to detect a psychopath, the bad guys, 2% of the population are psychopaths, and one of the characteristics of them is they can't keep a promise. So by trial and error, our Saxon ancestors put great strength on the oath, and that's why oath breaking is and should be the most serious of crimes short of treason. So if you can prove that an official has breached his oath, that should be the end of him as an official. A policeman.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm coming on to a much more simple issue, very simple, and it's similar to the Santa Claus. It's a bit like the coronavirus. I think I'm the only one on the whole planet that's just saying, where is a photograph of this thing? An actual photograph. I know other people are asking, but it's something I asked from the beginning because it's just something that came to my mind. But a lot of people believe it exists because BBC says it, Dr. Fauci says it, Ralph Valance says it. Yeah.
I'm a hypnotherapist, and the brain goes into 4 states of frequency: beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And the television's actually streamed in alpha, which is the highest state of trance that's accessing the subliminal mind. So they're actually using trance states to get it to access the inner belief system within a person. So you're literally trying to break them from a trance, and they're reinforcing it every day because they're fixed to the television every single day. The people who are of that mind.
You're trapped to the television. But so coming back to this, what you're saying here, I'm so happy you jumped in with that, because that's a lot more knowledge than I have. But what I'm saying on the court proceedings here, I have the same problem with people. If they're in a court case and you got the evidence, or you make the research, you find out that this court case was not processed through the normal proper computer system, or a fee was paid, or it was just an under the table case. I find 90% of the people cannot actually conceptualize this reality.
Have you ever been in front of a jury?
Of course.
And what was the result?
I was in front of a jury for trespass in my own house, where I'm the owner at the land registry.
Okay.
And 12 jury convicted me as guilty.
Did the judge tell the jury about the perverse verdict?
No.
Did the judge? No. Well, exactly. And that's what happens. Now, the perverse verdict is the common law right of a jury to determine 2 things. Did he do it? And would it be just to convict him? And that's how the common law develops. So if an oppressive act of parliament is imposed and juries don't convict, the first thing that happened is a policeman loses his power of arrest, because a policeman arrests in order to prosecute. And if a policeman knows that no jury in the land will convict, he hasn't got a power of arrest. It's what.
I appreciate what you're saying, John, but that's on another layer.
No, it's not. The reason the jury convicted you is because they didn't know they could acquit you.
You don't bloody know that, John.
No, well, you just told me that the judge didn't tell them about the perverse verdict.
Yeah, but you cannot say something you don't know.
I can.
Under any
because I've been in courts
circumstance.
hundreds of times where that's happened.
If
Judges
we're
and
talking,
juries
if we're
about
talking
perverse verdicts.
legal matters here, yeah, we have
Pardon?
to deal with hard facts.
No, if you're in a court, it should be done according to to law, not according to opinion.
That's the
You
point.
know, John. You know,
That's
John.
the point, though. That's the point is,
Yeah.
if it was in a court, then the procedures would have all been followed. There'd been no breach of procedures, and therefore it would be a genuine court, not a under the counter court.
Yeah.
And if
How
it'd
was
been
that
under
judge
the counter
appointed?
court,
No.
Let me come back. Let me come back to John, because I have
Yeah.
so much respect for you. I've read a lot of your stuff with during the Tom Crawford saga. But what I'm saying here is, you use a word there, would have and should have, which is what the mafia legal people and police are all using. You would have been served. You could have been. You should have been. The thing is, right? What I'm gonna try to stick to the point where I'm trying to make is that when I try to get people, like say we're helping Steve on his case right now. So I don't know how much Steve has bought into what I'm doing or not, because we haven't spoken much recently, but he had his friend, the barrister, Tom Lord, assisted him in court. He had a guilty verdict, a fine, 9,000 £9,000 fine, whatever it is. So we've just written to the court, the council, and the good old Tom Lord, and we ask a very simple question. Give me a copy of the information which was laid to instigate my prosecution. Yeah. So we're not talking common law and treason, and we're not talking nothing. We're just asking for the lay of information. Now, John, I'm finding 90% of the population can't see that, the wood from the trees. They can't see that. You were asking for this.
Okay. Have you asked for the case man file?
Yeah. Forget the case man for now. Yeah.
No, don't forget the case man file.
Sorry, does that mean there's been no due process? Is that what that
There's been no
means?
due process.
We're gonna come. We're gonna come to this. I'm not there yet.
Let him finish.
We've had the man found guilty in a court of law allegedly. Yeah. He had a barrister who was apparently his good friend too. There was the judge or magistrate. There were prosecutors. There also the people there, security in the courthouse building. So he comes out with apparently a guilty verdict. So he puts in a request in writing. Dear sir, madam, Mr. Court Manager, I would kindly like a copy of the information which was laid to prosecute me. The problem is now, if I discuss this issue on the panel here now, as an example, I'm not saying you specifically, but generally, most of the people will just run off the topic and go all over the place, which it frustrates the hell out of me, because this is the only thing that matters right now on Steve's case. Can I have a copy of the information was laid to commence the prosecution? So the court can't supply.
Did you have an indictment?
Huh?
Did you have an indictment?
I'm not interested.
Well, the indictment is the plain language version.
I don't care, John. I don't,
you don't care. Okay, fine.
Okay. I want a copy of the information which was laid to commence the prosecution, regardless of whatever else. Yeah, because what happens here, we're talking about isolation. When you have a point or an issue that you want to deal with that can make or break your case, you have to isolate this point, because if you bring in something else.
Are you aware of the Aldi et partem rule?
Pardon me?
Are you aware of the Aldi et partem rule?
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. Well, that's the rule that says it's a breach of natural justice if you don't have the case put to you. So you do need to know.
Fine. I'm just applying common sense. Common law is common sense.
It's court.
Fine. Sorry?
It's not common sense. It's legal procedure developed over the centuries. The Aldi et partem rule is is a part of natural justice.
John, I love you, but listen to me, my friend. Listen to me. Listen to me.
That, I'll send you a link. If you were to quote that to the court, then you might get somewhere.
John, I'm asking. Somebody prosecuted my ass. Yeah? And I'm asking that somebody for a copy of the prosecution that you laid on my ass.
Yes, and you didn't ask properly. Ask properly, use the ad partem rule, and they'll understand you.
How do you know I didn't ask properly, John?
Because you didn't know about the ad partem rule, you didn't know about perverse verdicts. You're not doing it properly.
How can it be a verdict if there was never a prosecution?
You don't know that until you see the document, do you?
What do you say to that, Steve? What do you say to that?
It's like seal clubbing.
What do you say to that, Steve?
Like I said, he couldn't get me lawfully. Only thing they could get me on was Antisocial Behaviour Act.
No, but forget that. Forget that, Steve. Forget that.
There was no one there. There was no crime committed. How can they say that?
Steve, I'm not asking about your crime, whether you commit a crime. Yeah. Let's say you committed a crime. Let's just assume you committed a very bad crime. I'm not talking about that. All I'm saying is, can I see a copy of the prosecution documents that you laid in the lay of information to prosecute me, because I haven't been served with it. So let's say you did a crime. Okay, fine. Show me your prosecution, because I've never been served with it. Is that a hard thing to get your head around? I find people can't see it.
Not at all.
I mean, I've won many scores on scores of cases like this. One guy called George Coulter came to me 6 months ago. We've already had 6 cases dropped in 6 months because they can't produce they can't produce the lay of information. They are making up the case as if it's a real case when everybody is sitting there laughing their head off how stupid we are, standing there answering and arguing and using sophisticated legal stuff, which they...
And Anthony, would you repeat what you were saying last week, where you were talking about something about where it didn't even have to reach the courtroom, that it was an administrative error?
No, what I'm saying is, and I'm not talking theory here, I'm talking, a lot of real cases, including my own case.
I just wanted to get my head around it properly, that's all.
I've got in my case, but it took me 3 years, but I got it. First of all, I had a lawyer, I had a criminal defense lawyer who, like you, Steve, was a family friend. Yeah. And every time he writes to me, I said to him, Mr. Solanke, can you get me a copy of the information? I didn't even know the word lay of information them days. I just said the prosecution because I didn't actually see what they said. I wanted to see what they said because I think, who said I want trespassing in my home? I want to know who signed the paper and so on.
Yeah.
So every time he writes to me, Mr. Badaloo, we want to prepare for your case, blah, 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 blah. I reply to the email with the same answer. I'm happy to do it, but I want you to get a copy of the prosecution so we can discuss it. And after the 4th time I sent him the email, and I got it in black and white, he says to me, I can't act for you anymore, Mr. Badaloo. I'm professionally embarrassed. Yeah, this is from EBR Attridge Solicitors in Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it took me another 3 years of corresponding with the court. Gimme. Every court, they got fines, they got things sending after me everywhere, bailiffs, arresting officers, all sorts of things, warrants on this case. 3 years. Then I finally got it from Hendon Magistrates Court. No information was laid against you because it couldn't be laid. So that means the case number was a fake.
Yeah.
The 12th jury that was telling John about earlier, whatever he was saying, I'm sure he's right in the technical point of view, but the reality is there must have been fake jury because they had no prosecution on which they, but the problem is all the legal profession and all the people involved in the system have been schooled, and what's the gentleman's name kindly pointed out? Is it
The fake name.
David pointed out they need re-education, but it's not re-education. They've been educated in fraud, and they know, because you know what? Sometimes you go and you ask for certain things at the court desk, and you can see them physically squirming in front of you. That means they know what is going on. You ask the court, go down to the magistrate court, ask them to stamp a document. Just put the court stamp on it. They start scurrying around everywhere. They're supposed to do that automatically on every piece of paper that comes through the desk. But because all the papers are fraud, or maybe most of it, and it is all done by the duty solicitor and the solicitors humming around who are not asking for it because they don't want it on their paper. There's fake paper. So when I'm in front of this 12 jury, these 12 jury must have been planted. They must know, they must overlook the land registry. I can't be convicted if I'm the owner and my wife is the owner at the land registry for trespass. So what it is, since these people, they're harassing us, prosecuting a jail, all these things, and they don't have the material evidence to justify what they're doing to us. They can only survive by misinforming or by spending a lot of energy and money reinforcing the falsehood. So they send you to the Citizens Advice Bureau. I mean, imagine the police, everybody telling you to go to city. Who pays for the Citizens Advice Bureau? And what? I have it in writing from the Citizens Advice Bureau that they don't have any jurisdiction on any criminal issue. And yet the criminal fraternity keeps sending you there.
Are you sure about that, Anthony? Because I'm sure that last year they were actually getting rid of the Citizens Advice Bureau. I think it was on the government list, hit list. Just saying, I've seen people on the streets petitioning for this.
I am only telling you my experience.
Yeah.
And I'm only telling you my experience with this. When I was in the prison, they have an office. Citizens Advice Bureau has an office in the prison, believe it or not, with some very nice ladies there as well, selling mobile phones in their underwear.
What I meant was the government are even trying to take that away from the people.
No, because you know what? That Dean might be another issue. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about earlier, isolation. In order to be effective with these kind of issues, you have to isolate one item at a time because it may or may not be connected with another issue, but you got to isolate something like a scientist and put it under the microscope and deal with it. Otherwise, you will get nowhere. So whether they're coming and going and sideways, I'm telling you
Anthony,
one fact for everybody to know.
If you look in text, I've sent you an extract from House's Laws of England, the senior legal textbook, on the Audi et partem rule. If you print that out and attach it to your application to see the information, I'll be very surprised if you don't get a result.
But the thing is, John, this is not.
No, there's no thing.
I appreciate this.
If you don't get the result, they cheat you. They cheat. I know that. You need somebody that knows what they're doing.
How can they give you something that don't exist?
Ebert is a Talmudic scholar. I've argued with him for hours.
Who?
And he goes round and round in circles.
Who is that?
You're doing the same.
Who?
Mr. Ebert is a Jewish chap that.
I'm not doing the same as nobody. I'm asking. Steve Todd is asking. All and sundry. Give me a copy of the prosecution.
This because I'm losing patience.
Well, whether you want to lose your patience or when you gain your patience, I'm asking, where is the prosecution? I don't give a bloody monkeys about anything else. That's all I need to know.
Well, read the document I've sent you about the Audi et partem rule.
I'm not interested in your document. Sorry.
Oh, okay, fine.
Give me the prosecution. I will give you permission. You go down to the court and come back with a copy of the information which was laid, John. That's what we bloody need.
I don't have standing. You have standing. You're the one.
Yeah, they don't take anyone to court. They take your straw man to court.
But Adrian, it's another matter. Let us say it's the straw man.
He's got himself in a loop. He keeps repeating himself over something that's persecuted him. He's got a problem with it.
When you're born, they create the straw man ID, which they trade on the stock market.
Otherwise, then it goes away, and that's what we're talking about.
Can I just go in the middle? Can I just go in the middle? Can I just go in the middle? Can I just go in the middle a little bit? Okay, and understand something. Anthony has won cases doing this. So whether you think one thing and he thinks another, that's irrelevant. And what you're struggling with, we're not meant to be struggling anymore. We've got to meet in the middle. We've got to understand each other. If he's not telling the truth, how come he's won cases? How come what he's saying is working? And we're not saying that your side's not wrong, John. We're not saying that common law.
What level of court have you won cases? Is it the Court of Appeal?
John, could you say in layman's term what is wrong with the question that Anthony is asking in layman's term?
Nothing. The fundamental principle of natural justice are these: you can only be accused of a crime that's known to the law, and it can't be retrospective. It can only be proved by a live witness who comes to court and stands up in front of the jury or the court that's hearing the matter. And any argument that you put forward has got to be carefully considered by the court. It's called the audiet partem rule. If you look in the text, you'll see it. Just read the first paragraph and it explains it. Breach of the audiet partem rule makes the whole proceedings void.
John, let me just say something though, mate. Okay, you've got all this law, and I understand that completely. They've took my son away from me, mate. They're basically doing whatever they want. I've recorded the courtrooms because it's been on the telephone. They're making it up as they go along.
They are criminals. They are criminals. Who's following you?
Let me finish, John. Let me finish. They're making it up as they go along. They put a non-molestation order against me in a civil matter, right? In a civil matter. And and I haven't seen my son, and I've got nowhere to go with this. And
well, you've got lawful rebellion.
What I'm trying to get, what we're trying to get you to understand, that they're doing whatever they want to do, John.
You don't need to tell me that. I know.
Can I just jump in a little bit here? I will pick up what Adrian was saying.
Yeah.
Because this is interesting about the straw man. Yeah. Let us say it's the straw man. Forget me. Forget the flesh and blood me. Show me the bloody information you laid against the straw man to start the case. Show me.
The one thing that I'm seeing here is the fact that if what you're saying is if everything's correct, John, yeah, if it's a court, then what you're saying is they're going to give it. What we're actually stating here is, and what we've exposed here, the fact is that if there is no paperwork and if there is no information laid, then that basically it's a group of people, public servants, using their positions of office, to counterfeit a case, So whatever you request them, it doesn't matter because it's not a case, and they're not going to.
That's right. That's right. The bottom line is a bunch of officials have got together. They've been corrupted over the last centuries, and more particularly the last 40 years. But our wise ancestors left us lawful rebellion as the remedy, and lawful rebellion is achieved either physically or by the grand jury. So if we're not yet ready for physical, it's got to be the grand jury.
John, can I just say, I absolutely respect all of your knowledge, and I definitely think you're autistic, which I'm high functioning, and so is my son as well, so I can recognise it in you.
Yeah.
And I understand why you're struggling to take on what Anthony's saying, but actually there's room for both of these methods to work alongside each other and sort of reinforce one another. What you're saying is 100%, and what the boys are saying is they've sort of found a loophole that they're seeing people in court respond to, because when they recognise that they're asking where this information's being laid, where's the evidence of what they're saying they're going to charge or have a trial about, there isn't anything for them to take that forward in the first.
I 100% agree, and I will send you when we've got more room, because there's only limited space on the chat box.
Yeah, and I just think what you're saying about the juries and that in the lawful rebellion, there's room for everybody to be doing what they're doing, because
Indeed,
it's
that's right.
as possible from every angle.
Yeah. And as I said, that was the point of bringing everybody together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Anthony annoyed me by saying I'm not listening. I don't care.
Yeah, we have to.
He wasn't saying he didn't care what you were saying. He said he didn't care about any of that because he was focusing on what he was saying. That's all, John.
Okay.
I'm saying we have to isolate. We have to
I
isolate.
suggest you read the document I've sent you, and then we'll discuss it privately.
Well, if you look, can I bring up on my screen my reply that I got from the magistrate court on my own? No, you can't. We don't want evidence here. We don't want evidence.
Why not? Why can't he do that?
Of course you can.
Well, because of the time issue. I've got commitments as well. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt because I've got time restrictions as well.
All right, shall we round off, Mr. Organizer?
Well, like I said, for me, everybody's got a piece of the puzzle here. And if we can sit down and listen to each other and help each other to see exactly that piece of the puzzle and how it works, it's unbreakable. We just got to get past what we already know and maybe learn something new. That's not taking away that you don't know your stuff either, but everybody's got a piece of this puzzle. Let's just sit back. Like now, Anthony can help Sinead now as well. Obviously, Steve, if you can help Sinead move forward now, she's got £17,000 fines racked up. And like I say, John, I'll speak to you separately a little bit. I want to actually put my case to you and show you what's really going on a little bit, and then we can come back to do this again next week sometime or on Sunday. And maybe Anthony and John and everybody can have a little call themselves, but we've got to sit and listen to each other, guys. And because everyone's got a piece of the puzzle. Everybody's got.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And if we put them documents together, get it all right, because I'm completely with you, John, on educating the police. And this is why I've contacted an organisation which I believe is coming from a heart-centred place, and they're approaching the police with that same manner, and it's having massive results in Spain right now. Massive results.
Well, I've got a following in police circles because I've still got contacts, and they're waiting for an opportunity to start arresting senior officers.
Yeah. So if we educate them, if we put the paperwork together, they've already built the website. We put this paperwork together. We re-educate these police. We teach them exactly what the real law was.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we don't have to go back to the real laws, because we need to go back to a real law. But I am under common law, and I wish to go forward with common law and natural law. Personally, that's where I'm at. That's natural law is the way forward with common law. But we're not at that point yet. But this is something. If we come together, we can start creating something. All I want to do is get all these this country off its knees, because every other country is starting to get up. Yep. And this is the only country that's not. And if we don't listen to each other, and if we don't sit down and actually come from a place of heart-centered place and moving forward, we're not going to get them off the knees. And we literally have to. So let's cover every angle. We've got a gentleman on here now, the other gentleman. There's a gentleman who can't go to work because he's refusing to have the vaccine. And the bosses are saying you're not allowed to work. Right, so let's put a document together to empower that gentleman so he can go to work and go, there you go, mate.
Well, isn't that malfeasance?
Well, yeah, exactly. But this gentleman doesn't know the law. But if we've got a document ready to go, there you go. You go and show your boss that, and I'll prosecute you if you stop me from going to work.
You know what I would? Can someone get the? I'm aware. Before I've done the removal of access from my premises and that for bailiffs, knowing that they haven't had a wet signature and so on, but I couldn't reinforce it, and I don't know how you charge them for what I would like to get to.
Yeah, but exactly. There's quite a lot of John, you're muted, mate. You're muted. You're muted, John. John, your mic's muted.
Still muted, John.
You're still muted, John.
I've just thought I'd like a question, John, because you say you've got some.
The bottom line is our ancestors had this problem before, and they didn't give up the monopoly on prosecution. They kept it. any private person can institute a prosecution. When you see the video that comes around, it's an hour and a half that it's worth watching, and the opportunity is there for grand juries to be set up. They can take advice from people that know what the law is. They can be trained.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a 4-year-old knows what's right and wrong, don't they?
Yeah.
We have children, haven't we? About the age 4, they say that's not fair, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the level of insight you need. You don't need to be highly educated to know what's right and wrong. And a jury, on average, has got 600 years of experience if they're age 50, haven't they?
Yeah.
600 years of life experience. And if you can convince a jury that it's wrong what's happened to you, you'll be quite safe. And that's the bottom line.
Dean?
Just I'd like to say, John, they've got me on a non-molestation order, and I haven't seen my son since October. Let me just tell you about the order itself. It's got no judge's name on it, never mind a wet signature, and it hasn't even got the order in the title.
And they move the judges round, and the judges are difficult to identify.
And they've moved from judge to judge to judge to judge.
Exactly, yeah, to avoid liability.
It's got a name on it, never mind a wet signature.
Can I jump on? Right, 2 things. Dean, you made an appeal for a document. Well, I've just posted it in the chat box.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of powerful resources that I'm putting together with. Well, if I'm the people's lawyer, she's the people's doctor, but she's anonymous, so I can't say who she is. So we've got that covered, and we've got one for vaccines, one for testing. We'll have one for masks and one for quarantine in the next few days or weeks.
What about the parents with their children, getting their children back into school? There's another area where parents will stand up.
Well, no, I'm the author of a book called School No Place for Children. So don't talk to me about getting children back into school. Talk to me about getting children back
but just to defy the system more than getting the children back into the indoctrination. It's just another form of pushback, and then address the issues within the environment after.
That's falling, and we're with you on that as well. But that's falling. But what we're not talking necessarily about what's about to come in another 5 or 6 months, which I believe is about to happen. I'm talking about just getting these people, empowering them to stand up, to stand against this system in all areas. So can we get the parents to somehow stand up? Even if we don't want the kids in school, I just want them to be empowered enough to go, right, there you go, there's a document. You better make the school accountable, the headmaster accountable. It's just ideas. It's just ideas. I'm just throwing ideas.
Let me jump in again. 2 things before I go. Anyway, I've got to go. The peculiarly British issue is that we are a highly infantilized nation. Yeah. We have a highly corrupted education system, apparently the greatest in the world, but it is the greatest in the world because it does the most damage. So on that level, it's just amazing. The other thing I would like to reiterate what Andrew was saying, you have 3 types of crime. You have crimes against the system, crimes within the system, and the system itself is the criminal. And this is what we're up against. We have a system that is how can you prosecute the system itself? You can't. All you can do is grow up and take the system's claws out of yourself. Now, if damage has already been done, well, there's not a lot you can do within the system. It's the system that did the damage. So other remedies need to be sought. So we'll have to explore those avenues at a future date.
Yeah. 100%.
Can I just jump in, because I'm really interested to hear from David just before he goes. So given that I've had an injunction against me, there's a power of arrest attached to it, I've closed and I'm not prepared to open because I've got 2 little girls, I can't risk getting arrested. I've got a terminally ill brother that's not even anxious about having cancer, and he's more anxious about me facing that, and just what could happen to me. So what would you do, like, in this? Because I know I'm not going back before April. The injunction runs until the 31st of March. So
you mean this? What have we got? An ASBO? Is it an antisocial behaviour?
Yeah. So the closure notice was an ASBO. The injunction is an ASBO, and the power of arrest is if any member of the public enters my premises, I will be arrested. So I took 2 coppers in with me. They were like, well, what are you doing here if you're not working? I said, well, I'm getting some stuff and I'm going to go do some mobile hairdressing. I said, because he went, well, I wish you hadn't have told me that. I said, well, how do you expect me to put food on the table for my children if I can't work?
Well, right, very, very briefly, the clue to the correct answer was in your last few words. Member of the public.
Yeah, and I said, actually, you are a member of the public. I said it to the coppers. I said, explain this power of arrest to me because I'm not really sure. It literally doesn't really say much on the paperwork. And he said, any member of the public. And I said, so you're a member of the public and you're in my premises.
No. Hang on. No, we're on a different page here. You have to, if you go private with a privacy notice, trespass notice, and keep the door locked, you only.
Yeah, I've got that up.
You only let patrons in, and you only let them in once you know that they're patrons and you know that it's safe to let them in. You don't let anybody else in.
Yeah.
So this member of the public in malarkey is a load of baloney. You're not letting in members of the public.
Okay, so I let in a client, a private patron, and they obviously turn up. The door's locked, and what happens next?
What do you mean what happens? Nothing happens next because the door's locked.
Okay, so the council last time paid a locksmith, got the locks changed, and yeah, that was after the closure order. Changed the locks and gave me them after the closure order was up.
Well, they're obviously determined to make sure that you look as though you're in the wrong and they're in the right.
And that's the problem, David. That's the problem. They're just making it up and doing whatever they want now.
Absolutely, yes.
That's just one simple point. Yeah, all of those things that you say that's been done to you, because you're saying it's an order and it's a warrant and it's a court. Can I just ask somebody to verify the fact that it was a court? So as far as I'm concerned, I know it may well have looked like one, but if the procedures weren't followed and everything that was there, if it didn't have the full package to say that it's a court, then I don't care what it was or whatever it said.
I like this, Andrew. You are pulling the rug right from the bottom before anything else needs to even be considered, aren't you?
Yeah, obviously because the police.
I only talk about what is. I know what's in front of you and what that's put the fear in. It's just like the coronavirus, yeah. Everyone's got corona, it's in their head, it's all been told. But has anybody ever actually seen a photograph of it? So until I see the court proceedings or the information that was laid in front of that court to generate anything else that you've been saying, then what was it? It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
It's all an illusion, and we can see it. We can see it because why? Because they can never prove it. And this is what they do. This is why you can never prove a negative. They can never give it you because they never had it.
Yeah.
See, what isn't an illusion is your fear that they've put you in. That's not an illusion.
Yeah.
If you can deal with that fear, you are 51% of the way there.
Well, this is, I mean,
I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of the fines or anything.
Fear can only come in where there's doubt. If you have the knowledge, you have the confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no fear when you've got the knowledge. So they've stated something to you. They've made the old maxim of law. Yeah. He who makes the claim has the burden of proof. They've claimed, that it's a court. Now, for you to be able to say it's a court and that it's got some authority being that court, then prove that the procedure is correct. Nothing's been done, and you're not just doing something in the back because you group of people are all working together to fleece the people and to enforce this nothingness just by deception. Because you see, the thing is, anybody who utters the fact that you've been to a court, you're actually participating in a crime there because
no, I've not entered a court.
You're being complicit in that crime because it wasn't a court.
There's another angle. Sorry, excuse butting in, but there's a data protection angle. Somebody is processing your data without your consent.
Yeah.
That's another angle, which obviously we can't go into it now, but we could do in future episodes. That's a huge shield that you can also use as a sword as well. You send the court a data subject access request requiring evidence upon its oath of office, its jurisdiction, its consent, explicit consent to jurisdiction, evidence from witnesses, evidence of, this is Anthony now, evidence of due process, a process of documentation in the form of DSAR, they're fucked.
Yeah.
David, there's something strong with that. If you look at Schedule 2 to the Data Protection Act 2018, Schedule 2, Part 5, there's an exemption if you're protecting your rights. I'll send it to you. A lot stronger.
Please. Yeah, that's a anyway. I personally have got to go. So thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing. Thank you, to Anthony and John in particular, and Andrew and Dean and anyone else that I've blessed out, because it's been an education for me, which is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, listen,
Thank
we're
you
gonna
so
do
much. You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
I'll put
Thank
another
you.
call this week in the group, so keep an eye out looking for the link.
Okay, will do.
Again. All right, David, have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll just make a
See you
final
later.
point.
Happy hunting
Dave.
for your layoff information. Happy hunting.
I'll just make a point. The law on self-defense, part of the common law, a crime is two things. It's what a person did and what they were thinking at the time. Take away one of those elements and it's no crime. So theft is dishonestly taking property deliberately. Imagine a little old lady wanders out of a supermarket with a bag of bread by mistake. She's done the deed, she's walked out, but it's no crime. Fundamental principle of law. The young lady there, you are feeding your children, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Life and limb are at stake. Anything you do to preserve life cannot be a crime. Cannot be a crime. So you have the absolute perfect defense.
Okay.
To invoke self-defense, it's only ever going to be the balance of probabilities tests, because you don't have to wait for somebody to hit you, you can hit them first. The Crown, on the other hand, has to work to the beyond reasonable doubt. So if it ever got in front of a court, as soon as you say, I was saving life and limb, you cannot commit a crime, you can't breach the regulation, you can't do anything. It's the 100% get out of jail free. And that's the bottom line. And any constable should know that. If you were to say to a constable, I'm defending myself.
Let's look at it from another angle. John. 2 seconds. Let me look at another angle. I get what you're saying there, but if they can delay it for the next 4 months and just keep her away from the courts and keep her out of the public eye, it keeps everybody on the knees. So it might work when we get to the courtroom, and they probably know that.
When it's the court.
The issue is they're trying to keep everybody on their knees to get their vaccines.
Well, who's been following Q?
Getting these vaccines into people. That's all.
Yeah, who's been following Q?
Sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Q. Okay. Well, I'm convinced the good guys are winning in the United States, and I'm
I
convinced
do
I'm
think
here.
Q's infiltrated
I'm
though.
with you on there,
Yeah,
John.
might be, but I would argue it's woken so many people up that it will have its own momentum.
Yeah, that's right. Has anyone ever watched that film Utopia, made in 2013?
No, what do? That's
I'm gonna have a
manifesting
look at it.
future I don't want to see.
No, Channel 4 made this film in 2013. It's about a pandemic which brought in mandatory vaccines. It's quite interesting,
Yeah,
really.
but the thing is, they've used it with all the movies. They've done it with
Oh,
everything.
yeah, I know.
They're telling the truth of everything. All the
Yeah.
movies.
It's a contagion or whatever. It's the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
If you want to know, I mean, Pete, we talk about Q, talk about present, talk about everything. If you want to know the problem, if you want to know the saviour and the problem, go and look in the mirror.
Yeah,
the
yeah, I agree.
100%, Andrew.
That's why I say it's got its own momentum. It's working.
Yeah, but John,
I mean, as far as I agree with you on the fact that what Q's done and how that platform worked, it most certainly has shed the light on a lot of things for the people. But the saviours.
Can I just ask?
The people.
Can I just ask a question to John quickly? Are you hearing? John,
you can hear. Yeah.
Because what, in your experience, what is the punishment if someone makes up a fictitious counterfeit claim? What is the punishment for that?
Well, that's perverting the course of justice, life imprisonment.
Thank you very much. That's all I needed to hear from a former policeman.
Yeah.
We need a lot of handcuffs. We need more handcuffs than vaccines now.
This is the thing. I mean, and the other thing is, the other thing here is, John, if these court cases, they can't produce any layer of information, any case man file, any filing fees been paid. Yeah, you've been taken into a court.
That was discovered by the Truth Movement about 7 or 8 years ago. So I've gone through that. Yes.
Yeah,
no
so
case,
now
no
the
case
point
answer,
is,
or no entry on the case man file. They're very, very sticky about it. The last time I was in the county court was about 3 months ago, and we tried to see it, and we basically had to threaten to arrest the solicitor from the other side for misconduct in office, but we got it. So yes. For those who don't know, the bottom line is you can only start proceedings in court if you lay in information, and that applies into both civil and criminal. And there's a case management file. That's what case man means. and the case man file is the record of that being done. So if you don't see the accusation, natural justice is breached, and that's once natural justice is breached, the hearing has never happened. It doesn't make the hearing go away, because the protection against double jeopardy only applies when you've actually had a hearing and been acquitted. So it's not a magic bullet. It doesn't make it go away, because they can come back and do it properly.
No, I don't agree with that at all, John.
Go on.
You commit a crime. That case,
that official has committed
that case
a crime.
is dead.
The whole system.
Yeah, that is now for you to counterclaim.
Well, you can counterclaim, but it doesn't. If one official breaks the law, it doesn't mean the law goes away, does it?
No, but you made a false claim against me on a matter. Yeah.
No, that's a different thing. You're
vitiates all. It kills it. It's dead. It's burnt out.
If they've made a claim, it will be in the caseman file, and it won't be false. If you're arguing,
what I'm saying, if they made a false claim on you, which
in that case,
it's dead. The claim is dead. They need to go to jail for life, according to.
But by Article 38 of Magna Carta, if one subject makes a claim against another, the Crown have got to progress it.
No, fine, but you make a claim against me. You make a claim against me, and it turns out to be false and a fraud. Fraud vitiates all.
Yeah, that's
Game
right.
over, you go to jail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you're saying that the court should be an adjudicator. Look up Article 38 of Magna Carta. I did some work on it for.
We don't have time to go into the depth of it, but you know what I'm saying. All these claims we're seeing, there is actually no claim. It is
not all. I've
seen
going
under the table.
Okay, John, can you just ask one question? Yeah. If there is no information of lay, if there is no case number to a caseman file, and there's no filing fees been paid, and there's somebody standing in front of a judge, there's alleged to be a judge, there's a clerk of the court, and there's other people, and you've asked this question, and they carry on and they ignore it, and they just stamp you on it, fine. Was that an actual court? Would you call that?
No, it was void. It didn't exist.
So it wasn't a court. So this is the difference. This is what I'm trying to say. This is the thing, because everyone's calling them court cases. No, they're not. Unless it's proper, it's not a court case.
Exactly.
So that's the point.
I think this is all. This is the only point I want. This is all the point I wanted to make from beginning.
Stephen's not been taken to court. Stephen's been taken to an illusion of a court.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the whole thing's void. I'll send you a document. It's 10 years ago. A woman called Sheryl Leewald, who's a solicitor advocate. She's a highly trained solicitor entitled to speak in the High Court and the Crown Court. She gets in trouble with the Solicitors Regulation Authority, so she decides to defend herself, and she relies on the void order. And she wrote a 4-page opinion, which is stuff that I hadn't come across before, but lawyers clearly did know about. So she's written a document called the void order, and it will explain the case law precedents for the concept of, if there's some serious defect in the proceedings never happened. So look out for that. Dean, if you can obviously share email addresses, or I'll send it to you and you can send it round.
I'll give you a ring.
I'll
explain everything.
Okay, well, I've got to go as well.
I've just done another point here, John.
Yeah.
I've also, right now, there's a whistleblower named by the name of John Alexander Patterson.
Okay.
And I've seen him been imprisoned. I've seen him sectioned a couple of times and imprisoned, right? Yeah. And right now they imprisoned him again, and he's now at the moment back into he's been sectioned. And the alleged court, I'll keep saying, because I nearly got me saying it's a court now. Yeah. There was never any information laid. There was never a caseman file. The court has told us that there's no.
Yeah, we're talking about criminal here, are we?
This is
Yeah. Okay.
There's an address on Finchley Road that is dead now, and there's 50,000 shell companies operating, which links in with Prime Minister.
One of which is a court. Yeah.
Adrian.
John Patterson's initial where they did him for malicious broadcasting was when he went into Seaford Police Station and reported Gordon Bowden and presented.
I spoke to Gordon last year, and then I didn't realise he had died.
He died, yes, yeah.
Well, I was with Gordon.
Potentially,
yeah. Can I come back to what Adrian said? Adrian.
Okay.
This was presented by Gordon to myself.
All right, there we are.
I was helping Gordon for a long time.
The what Adrian said, the address number 788 Finchley Road, which is up the road from where I live. I dread every time I go past there. It's not 50,000 companies there. It's 250,000. So you missed out 200,000, a small error.
and not to forget that the offshoots from that would have millions.
How long's it been going on for? This is the thing.
But who owns some of these companies? Tony Blair, David Cameron, and so on and so on and so on.
David Beckham.
The first person has been jailed from there recently for money laundering. So I read it in the Hammond High newspaper.
Okay, I've got to go, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry, because of the time.
Take care.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
The United Nations, their NGOs, they're used for money laundering, and all that black money finances the Democrats Party in the USA, and then child smuggling as well.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
So just
yeah, are we over? Are we done? Have we had enough?
I think we're done. I think we came to a conclusion. We got an answer from John, from an ex-policeman there, who's just told you plain and simple. Now you'll see where me and Anthony keep trying to say, look, stop saying it's a court, guys. Because
how long did it take him, Andrew? How long did it take him to come around and say?
The thing is, when you're fighting with the knowledge, what you're thinking is not, you know what I mean? We was agreeing, with what he was saying, because he was writing what he was saying, but that's only if it's a court. If it's not a court, anything can happen, because they've created it. They created that illusion, and they've already worked out the outcome. And like you say,
but that's John's autism.
Yeah,
that's John's autism that was stopping him from saying. You have to tell him in a very. You have to tell him in a very specific way. So once you started telling him in a way that he could receive the information, that's how he could then place the name on it and be in alignment with what you were both saying.
So my persistence wasn't stubbornness. It worked, because in the end he gave a proper answer. He says life imprisonment, which is what I wanted to hear.
Your persistence in that way was stopping his ability to process.
But he processed all right in the end.
Yeah, but you could have had it a lot. But you could have had it a lot sooner if you listen. I've been
the way how I'm working, I'll tell you something, because it's hard for people to conceptualize. When I was
understand straight away, the man's autistic. There has to be a different approach.
Totally. I'm just talking about a judge here called Judge Greenwood in Harrow Crown Court when I was facing 3.5 years imprisonment.
Yeah.
I repeated 50 times the same thing. Yeah. Because when you have the right thing, when you have the red button, don't press any other button. Because this is your winner. So that is what I do all day long. I've never been served with any proceedings issued by the court, and you can't prove otherwise. And the only reason you're not in jail for life is because you're somehow abusing your position and your power. And that is why I have the petition, court order scam, stop court, because it needs enforcement power. They are doing it. It's bigger than the pandemic. And so many people like Dean Willis, I don't know your case, Dean, I'm not saying, but you were talking about the court order earlier today. Wrong conversation.
No, Anthony, I know it's bullshit.
Wrong.
That's not where I'm coming from. I was just sort of saying they're just doing whatever they want. I'm showing you.
I
understand. Like Victoria said, it made no difference. John's autistic. He's always going to get it. He just needed to be said in a different way. And Andrew slowly said it in a different way, and then he got it. So
but
that's
at the end of it, if nothing else from this
podcast, it's not a criticism. It's not a criticism.
No. I'm not here to criticize nobody. No. But the thing is, what I'm saying, if this whole podcast today, if there is one thing I feel satisfied and happy about,
it's John.
We heard John Hurst saying, former policeman, making up a false claim to the court authority, carries life imprisonment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. Now we're going to work to enforce
You and
it.
John ended up on the same page, which is
Ah.
triumphant.
So let's look at
An argument, by the way, is where two people can be right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But let's look at it from a wider perspective.
That's an argument, yeah.
All three of you are right. It's just John's now got the law, the litigation. He knows everything to do with them. We can empower the police. We can empower each other.
That's
and then we've
great.
got Anthony. Anybody's putting fines or doing anything against anybody, Anthony's got the case man file. Well, all right, no problem. Send us whatever we need. And then we've got David, who can sort of empower people with certain knowledge in different other areas. So all three areas are covered.
I think David's thing where he's coming into play is if there is a legitimate case.
Yeah, but
If
we're
it
just talking
was a-
about
if it was
empowering
a-
them from the start, though. If we give the shop owner like
I know it everything is helpful, but what I'm saying, what he's saying it applies if there's a legitimate case, everything
Not
is
a
done
clown
for
court.
proper trial and process.
That's why I asked the question, yeah. If this isn't done, is it called a court? And he said no. So what I'm trying to, if it's a court, what
Very
John's
well
saying
done.
is bang on. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not, then what is it?
And that's exactly how he needs to hear it, Andrew.
Yeah.
You did it in exactly the way he needs to receive it.
Yeah, and the thing about John is John knows the law and what it used to be in the back then, what it originally should be, how it should be played. And you know,
But it's still current. It's still current, Dean.
Exactly.
I know they're not acting in it, but common law supersedes admiral law every time in every court.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying, sure, is empowering these police officers. There's another piece to this puzzle. I'm working on it. The email's off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we done? Are we done?
Well, I'm all right.
Anybody else want to say anything before we go?
Whoever wants to stay in,
Been lovely, thank you very much.
More than what I'm staying in for a casual chat. Whoever's staying in, whoever's going, have a good evening.
Steve, just before we go, Steve, have you had any correspondence back yet?
Nothing at all yet.
I saw your video, Steve.
Silence. What is it? Silence is your guilt.
Let's have a quick thing on Steve's case.
Yeah,
go on.
Because you've written off Steve and you asked the court, the council, and your document. This is the beauty of your document. Yeah, it was signed by the chief bloody executive. Yeah, of the Mr. Andrew Phillips, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Now that's beautiful because we always write to the chief executive, even when it's a dog's body. But in this time, he's wrote to you first. Now, the magistrate's court, chief executive, and your lovely lawyer, barrister Tom Lord. And Tom Lord, your friend, you ask him a very simple question. Hello, Tom. Can we bring up your thing on the screen? I can bring it up. Can we share screen? Who is it?
I've allowed you to share screen.
Let me see. Where is, if I can find it. Oops. I can't. I think I close. I think the tab is closed, but doesn't matter. I can't lay my hands. But you said to Tom Lord, dear Mr. Tom, appreciate your help in a very stressful situation. Blah blah blah. I don't know how I would have survived without you. By the way, I wasn't provided with any prosecution documents. Would you be kind enough to send me a copy of the prosecution documents which you helped me? So you did this last Friday or something, yeah? Or Saturday, Sunday, or, but you didn't hear from him, did you?
Nope.
And then what did you do?
What do you mean, what did I do?
Did you send him a text message?
Yep, sent him a text message.
Hello, Tom, did you get my email?
Yep, that's it.
And did he answer the text message?
Yep, I saw him the other day. He said, oh, I'll get round to it.
Oh my God, your business is shut down. You got a 9 grand fine. And he said, I will get round to it.
Yeah.
Isn't it just forwarded an email with an attachment?
I would have thought so.
You know, I tell you what, I will make you a bet in public. I'll give you £100 if Tom Lord produces the authentic layer of information. I give you £100 of my own.
Oh, because he hasn't got
money.
it. We're waiting on it.
I'd take that bet anyway, Stephen, because you haven't bet against you.
But the thing, the thing is now, I haven't spoken to you, but how do you feel now that nobody's replied?
I've lost faith in the judicial system on that Friday. I just realised how corrupt it were. I mean, end of the day, it was a magistrate's court, but it wasn't a magistrate. They actually brought in a circuit judge, especially for my case, just to make sure that I would be found guilty. They weren't going to risk a magistrate, because a magistrate may go for me. They may hear what I'm saying, gone like, yeah, he has a point here.
So can I just ask, what's the difference with the circuit judge?
Circuit judge will do what the government tells them to do. So they'll abide by what the government states.
Wow.
Can I just ask a question?
Brought them her in, especially for my case, then she would toe the line and she would do exactly what the government wants.
But Steve, first of all, for it to have been a judge, it must have been a court. Otherwise, it was just an actor. It was just an actor. Yeah. Because if it's not a court, then none of the people in there are in there for official position.
No, that's it. No,
that's what they're meant to be in a court. But it's not.
A judge is like a football referee. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this.
He gets brilliant. He gets a case placed in front of him for him to make an adjudication. It is not his business or responsibility whether the case is fake or not. We have to get our head around this.
Yeah.
Now, what the judge says, I can only judge what's in front of me. So your remedy is not with the judge. It's with the court manager, the administrative part of the court, which is totally and constitutionally separate.
Yes.
But everybody goes to the judge, make an appeal, blah. It's the wrong door to knock.
Yes, this is what I was asking you before. Can you clarify the administrative?
Now I'm explaining, yeah? So now the thing is, the court manager is responsible for the filing and administration of the claim. And if it turns out to be a false claim, fraudulent, defective, whatever it is, it's the court manager must make up the order that this matter is struck out and cost to the defendant and damages. That's the procedure. Nobody on this planet seems to know this procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not getting the order that the case is struck out and all that, but we're getting them to drop the case because they reach the point they can't produce. We turn the pressure, we publicize, yeah? And we put their names in light, and when their grandchildren Google their name, they go, Daddy, is this what you do for a living?
Shame them.
This is how we get back a little power, social media. I just named you Judge Greenwood. He has some lovely grandchildren. Now they're going to see these videos. They know their granddad as a famous, honor judge.
Honorable judge.
Daddy, did you send this man to jail and leave his little boy on the street with a heart condition? Is that what you do, Daddy? You understand? It's powerful. He resigned same time.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Now we got the police officer who arrested me or who came in my eviction, Paul Purdy. We just found out soon after my properties were sold, he bought an £800,000 mansion.
865,000.
Yeah, let's get the what a coincidence.
Which he burnt down 2 days later by accident, yeah. And now he's got a brand spanking new one rebuilt.
Claimed insurance. Yeah. Then we got Cressida Dick telling me it's all a civil matter. And then on Friday, what did we have, Andrew, with Cressida Dick? She got caught out on a false warrants. So
and you notice all they talk about is this that they talk to there was never a court. None of these things were made into a court. There was
very hard. It's like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. people can't, it's hard to conceptualize. It's
I've
very
got my
hard.
head round the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, so I've got no doubt I can get my head round what you're saying.
Aye. It's so simple, but it's difficult to grasp. But
Yeah.
you know, it's a deception. So you know, I love magic. I like to watch magicians. I know it's all bullshit.
Like sleight of hand.
Yeah. But when you see with your eyes, your own eyes is deceiving you. You see that somebody is cutting this lady in two, and you can see it, but you know it's not true. And it's the same effect they have on our minds and all the people around us. They think, well, it was in court. It was in court. It must be, you know, it must be the valid. It must be okay.
Can you just repeat one more time, sorry, why it's not a court?
No, what it is, let me use a word that should clear it up, right? The courthouse building. Yeah? The courthouse building. You know, if you go to the Chancery Court which is a high court in central London on Fetter Lane, and you go upstairs on the first floor, all the courtrooms have a phone number there with a little plaque. It says, to hire this court, please phone this number. And I tell you what this is being used for. I've been in there in a tribunal for the FCA, and they just hired it. People are hiring these courtrooms and having fake claim, and people are flying from all over the world to get great British justice.
Because even on a common law level, I know it's a fake court from the fact of when they address your straw man, they've already changed positions within the courtroom anyway. But that's coming from
well, let's just forget law, common law, canon law, all this. Let's just say I hired the court, which I can do. Yeah, I was thinking before the lockdown, I was going to hire the room in the court and have a Christmas party. Yeah, because you can do it. So what it is now?
You need a DJ. Don't forget me.
Aye. So the thing is now, right? You have the building, the courthouse building. Yeah, it's a building, isn't it? So normally in our brains, when you go to this building, you're going there because you have a court case.
So is it like a private rental so you can conduct whatever you like in there?
Right. So somebody hires this room. Yeah. They actually pay rent for it. Yeah. So you are invited there and you come. I have this all explained in writing, by the way, by a court manager and signed on wet ink on headed paper. Yeah. So they hire the room. You come and sit there. And you have papers. Now, the thing with your papers that you have is not sealed. Yeah, because they're not going to seal a paper for a fake court. So when you sit there, you see a man sitting behind on the bench. You, in your brain, assume he's a judge or he's a magistrate. Yeah, you fill in the blank. That's why they call it magistrate's court. It's magic straits. The courtroom was designed and laid out by, guess who? The magic circle.
Right. Well, like you're saying that, it's exactly the same with the television. In media means Medea, and it's goddess of illusion.
So what it is now.
Yeah, so that they can lie. Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're going to this building, if you're innocent and you're not dealing with these issues, you know, for a long time, your brain cannot think that they could be doing such a big crime, that the man sitting there is not actually a judge or magistrate. He might be a judge in his real life, but on this particular occasion, he doesn't have a case to adjudicate. It's just the papers have just, let me show you a paper that's been made up. Look at this.
I understand there's nothing being laid.
This paper, it says Marston's bailiff, and then it says City of Westminster Council. Now, do you think this letterhead could possibly be correct and valid in law?
No.
You understand? So they've gone this far.
You'll know them by the signs.
They make up false papers and then they send it to you Normally they're sending they need their people to help the illusion. So if you don't have a barrister or lawyer, listen to this. We all know, but I'm just saying in a dramatic way, they give you a free duty solicitor. Why on earth is your enemy giving you a free solicitor? And how can he be free? He's not a charity. Who is paying his wage? Your enemy is paying your legal bill. You know how many free solicitors I mess up in my life? Well, not that many, but quite a few. I just ask them, can I have a copy of your indemnity insurance? And I instruct them in writing, yeah? This is my instruction. Please get me a copy of the information which was laid and the computer record. I do not need any other assistance from you. Kind regards. That's my instruction. Yeah? And when he can't get it, I said, what is the procedure now? What do we do? The last time we did it, the lady, she come back in the court and she said, Your Honor, I would like a break to consult my professional body. I presume it's the SRA. Because I asked for her indemnity insurance and she felt scared that she's acting on a fake case. And then when she comes back, she says, my professional body told me I cannot act in this case. And they told me I have to hand back any money I collected.
So Anthony, so interestingly you say that, let me just stop you on there.
Yeah.
So could I do that with my son's mother's lawyer? Could I call her out and ask her for that too?
Well, each case is slightly different. So in your case, somewhere it started. Who started the battle? You or them?
My son's partner, my son's mum.
Right. So she probably went to a legal aid solicitor.
Yeah. 100%.
And they filed a claim.
Yeah. Yeah. The first claim was trying to stop me from taking my son out of the country.
Fine. So this is the beginning, and this is the only place you attack. It's the beginning.
Yeah.
Because everything else that's built up, it came from that.
Doesn't stand with the foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that germ. You planted that acorn. That's when the acorn was planted. Yeah. So there's a mighty oak tree you're fighting now.
But the illusion of a mighty oak tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So now all you have to do, if you try to fight all the branches of the oak tree, you would need something to destroy you, your energy, destroy you. You fight the acorn. I want to know when you planted this acorn. Yeah, I want to see. So now you're gonna write off and ask for the claim.
No, yeah, I get all that. I was just wondering if I can scare her with what you were saying before.
It's not her that needs scaring. You understand?
Well, yeah.
Because this is the problem. She delegated it to the lawyer.
Yeah, she became an imbecile by giving herself away.
Fine.
Yeah.
So it's the lawyer and the court staff you got to scare.
Yeah. And I've actually declared that in a statement. I've actually put that into a statement as well. That's
I understand, but I don't like statements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're going about with the peaceable enjoyment of your life, and somebody has interfered with you, yeah, that person must have some authority. So I am not entitled to give that person a lot of statements to say nothing to him. I am only to say, show me your authority, how you're interfering in my life. Very simple. And their authority is the court order. Yeah. The court order gives them authority to give you a non-molestation order, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So now you say, just like with Steve, show me what you file. Give me the computer record. And there are other things, you know, you can do information, but the other problem is tactics. Because if you If you talk to me and we're talking, we're quarreling, it's one thing. But if you're quarreling and you're shouting at me and I stay quiet, what does it mean?
What does it mean? If we're shouting and you stay quiet?
Yeah.
That you're listening.
You don't know what I'm thinking.
Uh-huh.
But the minute I'm talking, you know my intention. You know my feeling.
Yeah.
You know my ideas. Yeah. But also you got some kind of control over me because I'm answering to you.
Yeah.
So if you stay completely quiet and the only time you open your mouth, you're asking a question.
Asking.
And you are asking a question that if you answer it, you incriminate your damn self. This is called power. Yeah?
100%.
And this is
why
on everything that's being put forward to you. Whatever it is they're asking you, you ask back. I can answer that question, but first of all,
I'm happy to answer your question. You tell me, where did you get authority to be asking me this question? Where is your authority? So like with your case now, I'm happy to don't molest, don't do nothing. I'm happy to obey this order. I want to know how you came to obtain this order. But I'm not going to ask about the order. I'm going to go 3 steps back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Show me what you file in court to start this process. And I'm hitting you, I'm hitting the court, I'm hitting the lawyer. I wouldn't even bother with the ex.
Yeah? That's not where I want to be.
Because what it is she delegated to the lawyer, I bet you I will put another £100. It's going to cost me £200 on Valentine's Day. I bet you the lawyer cannot produce any evidence that he made a lawful and valid claim in a court of law. I bet you. You understand? So sometimes it's not about the question and the information. It's about the tactics. What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third?
You're wiping them out on a technicality.
Well, there's one thing about the technicality, but depending on how you move and the steps you take, yeah?
Yeah, but there's still a problem there, Anthony.
Yeah.
There's no problem. But let's look at Leanne and Jason's case.
Yeah.
They still haven't got their daughter back. They're still trying to twist that knife in many, many other areas. And this is where I'm going to. Well, I hope we don't see this, but this is going to happen with Steve, because it's such a high-profile case, and we're in the middle of coronavirus. How many more lies and how many more things are they going to keep piling up on?
Okay, this is all what I'm saying about isolation.
Yeah.
I don't care about all that. It's outside my control.
Yeah.
There is only one thing in my control. I can offer you compliance. Yeah. On the grounds you can prove to me that you're entitled to it. Yeah. I can't say you're gonna come and handcuff me or jail me or lock me in a van or whatever. I've got no control of this. But over time and years, I've come up with some tactics, because it's not. I mean, let me see. I have something here. Last week we did a video with Steve, and I mentioned something about Enfield Council and the chief executive being jailed for 10 years. Now I have a property let to Enfield Council on a £60,000 contract. And on Friday, I have this letter. It says here, my property has been deemed unsafe and the council has moved the tenant out. This document here, yeah? Now, there are so many ways I could respond, but I just replied to the agent and I said, I'm disappointed to hear blah, blah, blah. Please provide me a copy of the signed adjudication from the council. Kind regards. Yeah. So that's number one step. I didn't do nothing more. What you don't do is so important. We're only quantifying what we do. But I jumped in my car and I go down to their office. Nobody's there. This morning I went to the property. Guess what?
Oh.
I found the tenant is there. Yeah. Now, these are moves I make. I didn't rely on their word. I'm doing things. I spoke to the tenant. The tenant told me he hasn't moved out and the council didn't move him out. There is no such things. So my next move is going to be Monday morning. I'll be at the agent's door. I will be very nice and polite. I will have asked them what is going on. I won't tell them what I did. I will let them tell me what they did and why. Then I will ask for the document. You understand?
You make them do the work.
And by the time they discover what I've done, what is going to happen? There is going to be a surge of adrenaline in their body. It's better than a punch in the face. And then
when it drops to the bottom of the gut and they have that. Oh, shit.
Now they feel physiologically fear and panic, and this is when you get results. You know, you can make someone panic by threatening them, which you will get in trouble for. But by questioning the right way and the right steps in the right tactics, and also what you don't do. Yeah. A lot of things I don't ask them. A one-liner. Give me a copy of the signed adjudication. Yeah. I know they don't have one. So I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm in a position, it's going to flip, because I'm going to be in a position to kick them out of the contract and claim the 60 grand from them anyway, because they've done fraud. So I'm flipping the table. But you have to make your moves tactically. And most important, everybody wants to see what you do. Yeah, this is the problem. But the most powerful part of your exercise is what you don't do, which nobody can see. You can ask Andy, sometimes I will take 2 days to do a letter. And it's 3/4 of a page. And then Andy will be asking me this, that. I said, no. This 3/4 of a page is a loaded gun, because it's 10 pages. It's like number. You got a number of 0. It's got no value. It's 0. It's nothing. But you put a 0 next to 10, makes it 100. So you can't say the 0 doesn't have any power.
It's not the amount in the letter, it's the weight of it.
Right. And what you don't put, or what is between the lines.
Yeah.
And the burden, the pressure and the burden you put on the physical body of the other person. When you send a simple letter, like the lady is going to read this in the morning, yeah? The secretary. He said the man says he wants a signed copy of the adjudication. So she won't have, she's going to jump to the manager. Yeah? So I'm making her do something physical. She's going to get up and walk. It's like someone running, isn't it? Then the manager is going to say, oh, what shall I do? He's going to run to the lawyer. The lawyer says, I'm off, it's COVID. He says, okay, it's urgent, it's emergency. We got to do something. The guy asked me for this and I don't have it. What should I say? So now they're physically doing a lot of things. So you are causing this thing by a very small effort.
We want them to be the ones that are not sleeping at night in worry.
Exactly.
What they're doing.
They
should be the ones that worry.
On Steve's case here, we asked such a simple question. And it appears like they're not doing anything because we haven't had an answer. But it doesn't mean that. They're doing a lot. Because like you were saying, Dean, it's a high profile case, it's this, it's that. So I can guarantee you a lot of phone calls and emails and driving around is happening. What shall we do? And it's happening at the top level, from the journalist to the court manager, to the judge, to the council chief. We don't see it, but I can guarantee you it is going on.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
the power comes this way through tactics and through simplicity, and it looks like simplicity. But in, you know, like with my lawyer, I asked them this, I just stuck to the guns. And eventually he said, I can't help you, I'm professionally embarrassed. Basically, he admits it is not something I'm able to do to get you the prosecution, and the money I was taking from you, I was screwing your family. Yeah. So this is how we're gonna work. I can't promise. That's why I have the petition that we're gonna expose these things and get as much public people involved. And
people power. It's the mere pressure of the people and holding them to account.
Right.
Once they are seen, once everyone sees the fact that, hang on, because remember, the court's the paper. Where this court hearing is meant to be, which is a court building, yeah, if it's correct and everything's, the process has all been done, the due process has been followed, then we can call it a court. Other than that, you heard it from an ex-policeman, if it isn't, it is not a court, it is a crime scene, yeah, and that's what's happening, and these people are criminals, yeah.
Wait, you know what? I couldn't get it better than in my dreams, even though at the beginning he wasn't very warm to the concept.
But I understand that, but yeah.
In the end, he said it.
Those people in there doing that, life imprisonment.
I would love to cut out that piece of the video and put it up isolated. Here is an explanation. Here is the man saying from his own mouth, this is a life imprisonment. So please,
absolutely
decide where you're gonna go and hide.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. We see you now. That's what I'm trying to keep saying. You know, once everybody else grasps that it's very difficult when you're in the game. All the thing is having that ability to step out of yourself and look back on yourself and look at what the actions are that you're doing. Because when you're in the game, it's you miss the thing. But when you can step out and look in, you can see the moves that you're making.
It's extremely hard for people to see. But
my dad always said to me from being young when he was telling us about the law and to make sure I write everything down, don't get emotionally involved in it. Which is literally what you're saying about taking a step back. Don't let your emotions confuse your state of mind. Be objective, be black and white, see the process, see the technicality of it.
Well, you can't not get emotionally involved because it affects you. But the thing
we
is,
all got adrenaline glands. You know, we all, especially when you go into them court buildings. Yeah, everyone's going to be affected by it. You know, it's as simple as that, isn't it?
It's how to manage your emotion. You understand?
It's not hard to manage my emotional. It's hard not to be in my truth, and you're not going to stop me from being in my truth, and that's when my emotion comes out. Because everything I've done with the judges is the truth. I'm coming for you, Mr. Judge. I'm contempt of court. Come and arrest me. I've done it all on purpose in a way because I'm fueling this pain inside. I'm not fueling this pain, but fueling this truth. It's just truth. I'm calling you out, Judge, and I know it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I know it's wrong, but I want him to know that. I know what you're doing, mate.
He already knows. He already knows.
And that's my ego, maybe. That's my ego, maybe. Maybe
he already knows. That's what I say. You know, people are talking to these people and think that, as far as I'm concerned, they all know.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm with you. And the lawyers. And I had a lawyer in this house last week.
And you know they are because
she
when
told
you ask
me the answer. She told me she knew about the corporation, and she trained to be a family lawyer, and she now teaches students at university.
The tax office knows about the straw man. You can ring the tax office and discuss your straw man.
Well,
anyway, guys, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay. Okay. Another day. All right.
Guys, Andrew and Anthony, everybody else, I'm staying on. So whoever wants to stay on, stay on.
Thank you, Andrew.
Anthony, can we start dealing with Sinead now? Obviously, helping her with this letter to get her letter off.
Who is that?
That's the shopkeeper.
The
hairdressers. That's the hairdresser.
But she's not. She wasn't on here today.
Yes, she was. She was. The hairdresser's on here tonight. She was just talking with the glasses. That's the one who was hit 17.
Okay. So I didn't see the name Sinead. She had something else. Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah. The thing is, this is the problem. if I start trying to help people who haven't got the concept that this could actually be a fake case, it's so hard. But I don't know.
Sinead gets it.
Where does she live? Which town?
She lives in Bradford.
Bradford.
Yeah. West Yorkshire.
Okay.
But to be truthful, we didn't really talk about her case, so we could do with a.
No, I know.
One-on-one with her or something.
I seen it a little bit in the media, and she said a little bit about there. But the thing is, like you, Dean, and her.
Yeah.
You need to, we were talking about emotion just earlier.
Yeah.
It's trying to find a bridge between your emotion and your action, so that you're channelizing your emotion into an avenue which can yield you back some.
That's called alchemizing. That's alchemizing energy, that is.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that was before, Anthony. That's not now. Like I said,
understand. I understand.
Throughout this journey, for me, for instance, I'll take anybody on, and I've had that attitude all my life, and I'm not scared of nobody.
No,
but what I realised is when I came into this space, I was, and my fear was lied with my son. That's where it is. So this whole period of time has been strengthening all of that inside when it comes to my son. And letting go of like the outcome and not controlling everything, and it's been a real lesson for me. So where now I'm actually in my power and standing upright and actually ready to take it on with that candor and be in the right place and understand exactly what it is.
Okay, well, this is my philosophy. Yeah. Well, when I started out, I had a problem. We don't know what to do. Yeah, we have all these problems going on. We don't know what to do. And then I started on a journey to find things to do, to fight back, that can have some impact. Now, over time, I reached the point now where I know what to do to such an extent. There is more things to do than I have time for.
Yeah.
And once you know what to do legally and lawfully, we can't control them because we say they have power abuse and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's a question of doing it to the maximum of your ability. If you do all the things, you request the records, you do this, you do that, and then you had to go a court appearance. People rely too much on the court appearance. I don't like court appearances because they're not good. But you do it what you can administratively. So they all owe you a reply, which they can't fulfill. They can't possibly fulfill, because if they fulfill it, you're a free man. But when you have that ground, that foundation laid down, and you come in contact with them, what now happens is they're terrified of you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I go sometimes into court and I ask a barrister for the other side, can I ask your name, sir? And they just run down the corridor. I think, whoa, is that what they taught you in law school? Run. You didn't go to athletics college. So you ask them things like, are you the prosecutor? Yeah, simple question. Because they're on the documentation as the prosecutor. Where is the prosecution that you prosecuted? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you insured? You have your key questions that give you maximum impact and it hits them in the balls. Yeah. And when the judge is talking, if you have to face a judge, you have the 3 or 4 little documents that you've requested. Your Honor, have you got this on the file? Yeah. And he won't give you a straight answer. He won't. Oh, Your Honor, have you got a legitimate case in front of you? Is it from? Can you make an order for this to be provided? Or ask it hasn't been provided. Could you find out from the claimant why it's not been provided? You a whole different line of questioning. You're not talking about the case.
Yeah.
You understand? You're talking about the fraud.
Yeah.
And if you want to ever get any traction and leverage against these gangsters, you're going to get it when you're talking about the fraud. Because that is your power. And I don't leave the subject. I don't leave the subject like I was doing with John Hurst. I don't leave the subject because that's my red button. Why should I leave it? Why should I go on my green button, on the purple button, on the forget it. I'm sticking on the red button all day long. And then they have to now make another false order, but they won't sleep. Whatever sleepless night you had, you're missing your son and all these things. Now they're suffering it, and they have an energy transfer, a power balance, a power shift. Yeah, they're scared of you. They're terrible. Now they send you a false order. Yeah. You just write back to them and say, I got an order. Yeah, or I got a document. It says it's order, and I would like to comply. But I want to make sure it's a lawful and legitimate order issued by the court. As mentioned before, I have never been served with any proceedings issued by the court. Would you be kind enough to supply me with a copy of the claim form and the case management record, section 123, because I requested on this date, I chased it on this date, I boom, 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 and it's still not been provided. And I'm beginning to form the opinion from the evidence, it does not exist. And this claim number is a counterfeit. So as soon as you can provide me with the above items, I will be happy to comply with your order. You believe you will send a shockwave from the head of the Ministry of Justice, Susan Ackland Hood, all the way down, all the way down. You understand? Especially if you send it by email and your BCC. You know, after I write to the court a couple times and they won't give a straight answer, so I write my letter and I put in there Susan Ackland Hood. She's the head of the Ministry of Justice, care of the court manager, XYZ Magistrate Court. I never write Magistrate Court or County Court. You write County Court of Record. Yeah? Because a court of record is a proper court. By just using the court, it could be any court. It could be tennis court, squash court, badminton court. So you finish the words, Nottinghamshire Magistrate Court of Record. That alone is going to freak. You can't believe the freak because nobody knows this or does this. I saw Susan Ackland Hood bracket CEO because the chief executive is the only person responsible and accountable under Section 12 of their Fraud Act. Yeah? Right. And company law. So now you address it care of the court manager, Nottingham Court of Record. And then when you email it to the Nottingham Court, you blind copy Susan Ackland Hood. You understand? Yeah. So the court at Nottingham don't know that you copied her in. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. So once she got it, yeah, and she start jumping up and down. Number two, the Nottingham County Court pass it on to her. So now she got it twice. Yeah? Yeah. So she thought, oh my God, I have to answer to Nottingham and I answer to you. So she has to have a conversation with Nottingham. So you start to create a whole stir. What a simple bloody email. Yeah. So it is power because we suffer because somebody is abusing us with big power, and we have a little power because we have no media, we have no. Imagine if all the press who broadcast Steve's case everywhere and publish this bloody video. Can you imagine? You understand? This is how you can change the world. But we always had a media blockout. now we have things like blockchain technology. We're publishing the videos in the blockchain. All my videos that were banned on YouTube are on library. And you got other ones like Hive. They're in the blockchain peer-to-peer. There is nowhere to delete it. So
where are your videos, Anthony? Can you put a link in the thing for that?
how do you put a link in here? If you, it's very easy. Do you know about Bitly?
Do I know about
bit.ly?
Bitly?
You know that? Bitly. Okay.
No.
Bitly is just a shortcut facility. So
Right.
it is my link on there is bit.ly / EDS.
Can you type it in the comment box, please?
Where's the comment box?
If you
Chat.
click on the three dots
It's just
in the
chat.
bottom.
Is that the one?
Yeah, the chat. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we have it now. Technology has always been the equalizer for us, because since I started 5 years ago, I've been putting all these videos out and stuff, and it has given me a lot of power back, because all the people I've published stuff about and everything, not one of them have come back and made a reply. So I must be right.
Yeah.
So let me just.
And then that's by omission as well, isn't it? The fact that they don't reply.
They don't reply, but also I'm using these videos more and more in evidence. You put a video out and you didn't know the. We have on the video this police officer telling us on the phone, there is a warrant. Just a little word, he said, there was a warrant for our eviction. Now he appointed himself as the investigating officer. So now I had correspondence with Cressida Dick. She's telling me the officers already told me many times it's a civil matter. So I'm sending this video clip to Cressida Dick, where just that little piece, he says, is a warrant. I'm going to say, Miss Dick, can you give me a copy of the warrant this officer is mentioned, because he's never been able to produce it today. It's so simple. Yeah. So we get so much power. I mean, if every time I have encounters with these people, they are scared to death of me. I tell you, there was a guy I was in the court with a bailiff from the BBC bailiff, Kenneth Warby. He's on the Sheriffs Are Coming program. And before we're going to the courtroom, I recorded him and I'm talking to him and saying some very strong words to him. And he was like this. Yeah. This is not how a big burly strapping bailiff behave, unless you're scared of something. And when the court is over and he comes out, he's off like a shot. So he's literally scared of me. You understand? Yeah. So from the time he comes to my house, I'm scared of him. Till a couple of years, everything transfers. So let me put in the link here. Library.
I've done a similar thing with birth certificate.
What certificate?
Birth certificate. So on the bottom of your birth certificate, it states that do not use this birth certificate as evidence for identification.
The certificate is not always a form of identity.
Okay.
But how do you get a driving license, a passport, and a bank account if you cannot use that as identification?
Yeah, brilliant.
You know, it's a whole nother. I emailed the court, the Nottingham Magistrates Court last week about some speeding ticket thing. And you know, in the email, in the heading, you put your subject matter. Yeah. So I put in there something like whatever it is. And when they replied, it's very strange. They changed the subject line and they put my name in caps in the subject line.
In your straw man.
So when I replied back to them, on some email facilities, you can edit the subject line. So I deleted it and type it back in normal letters and replied to them. So they have all these little, if you think I'm a bloody straw man, don't write to me.
Well, it's like your car. When they talk to you in your car and they say, are you the driver of this vehicle? Driver in vehicle or commercial terms.
Yes.
And where it says on the registered keeper's document, my daughter sold a car and the bloke didn't put his name on the document. And I did win it eventually. But on there it says the registered keeper is not always the owner of the vehicle. And I was arguing with them that the registered keeper is not always the owner of the vehicle, but they see it from the fact of the DVLA owns the vehicle because you registered it, Regina, in the first place.
Yeah, the DVLA is a big problem. A whole nother subject. I got some crazy information to put out on that. I won't go into it, but
no,
I have it confessed in writing. Yeah, certain things that could just revolutionize the whole motor DVLA situation, car insurance, all this. It's just mad. But listen, we got enough material. Like I said, I have a document from a court manager explaining that they're hiring the court. The case numbers are not court case numbers. They invite their customers in. So in other words, when they invite the customers into that room, we don't know what they're doing there. That's not our business. And also the cases are not on the public display. So when you go in the public display, each legitimate court case must be on there. But the false cases, especially in the magistrate's court, are not on the display. I went into Willesden Magistrate's Court and I was filming the display to show that my case wasn't there. And I had about 5 security officers jumped on me. Now, this is important. I stayed calm and make no difference to me. After they realize I'm not reacting the way they want, they slowed down. And I said, what's the matter with you guys? I thought you're hired to protect the public like me. And they said, well, you're not allowed to film. I said, look, this is the problem, boss. I don't see my case number there. And the only way I'm going to be able to prove it is if I take a photograph. Are you okay with that?
Isn't it a public place as well?
I know, but it's how you talk them around instead of having
I was just checking in case it was a private building because it's a corporation.
No. Well, it's a private building, but they're pretending it's public. So we work with it.
Right.
So I said, you're number one, you're here to protect me. Number two, this is the only way I can prove my evidence that the case number is not there. And thirdly, if you believe I can't record this, you're not allowed to touch me. You can only call the police, or I will call the police for you to come and sort it out, because they already touched me. Yeah, and that's against the law. The security in the court are not insured or authorized to touch you.
Yeah.
So after a while, they calmed down. As a matter of fact, they became very nice and I took my pictures and they were okay. But the problem is they are intimidating the whole public that you can't take a photograph of a public listing. You can. And it is proof. If you have like a council tax hearing in the magistrate's court, you go to the public listing, take a picture. That's your proof. It is not a court case. It's not on the listing. It's not on the listing.
It's as simple as that.
Well, yeah, but also if you ask the court for a copy of the claim that was filed on this case, the court will tell you there is no case.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the thing is, we have to get this out. It is not really good for me just to find out and pull all these things up, and it just stays with.
Oh no, it's absolutely brilliant, honestly.
So that's why I have the petition, and I want to push out. We are creating great material now, and since Andrew hooked up with me, we've been putting out at least between 2 and 4 videos a week.
It's literally seeing the wizard behind the curtain.
Anthony, I've got a little plan.
Just,
just wait with me.
Aye.
I've got the people in the room now. Let me just finish off the plan, and I'll have a little section with an organisation that's moving forward. And I mean, like I said, I need heart-centered people. Simple as that. I need the people who are fighting from the right place. And this woman, and this is the first organisation I've come across that I feel is coming from a heart-centered place. And not only that, they're using police officers. Because in Spain, they are fighting with the police officers. They've brought them over to their side. And I'll explain and show you a little bit. I've made contact. I'm just waiting back for an email at the moment. So we'll get this out there. We'll get this out there. But we'll also re-educate the police with John's information and John's knowledge. You know, we'll start to re-educate.
Fine. There's a lot out there. But the thing is, a lot of the police, the people in the positions, I tell you what I've discovered is happening. You've heard of the dark state, yeah?
Yeah, deep state, yeah.
Deep state, dark state. It's very simple. It's just private companies, yeah?
Yeah, we know that, yeah.
So what is happening is, it's like, this is the dark state. They've taken over the government. They hijacked the government facility. Marston's writing to you on a City of Westminster letterhead.
Yeah.
They're no longer hiding it.
Yeah.
We are running the council.
Just to show that it's a deep
We're
state
in charge.
There's an upside down. I say, just to show you, you'll know them by their signs. Their signs will give them away.
Yeah.
There's an upside down pentagon on that Marston's logo.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, look in the centre.
Look, I never saw that.
I mean, this one is a star. Is a star? What's it?
Yeah, upside down, 5-pointed star. That's the goat's head.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Wow.
In your face.
But the thing is now, what I've discovered is what they do. First of all, they have all these contracts with the council that has a power of attorney. Now, according to the law, if somebody gets illegally evicted, the council must investigate it. So what's happening in my case and other cases? You get an illegal eviction from a Marston's bailiff or Equita bailiff. You complain to the council. Now the council is subcontracted to Marston's and Equita, who did it in the first place. So where are you going to get? When are you going to get the prosecution for the illegal eviction? So this is the dark state, and from what I understand, they put people in the council, their own people. They apply for the job, they get the job, they're working in the council on the payroll, but they were planted.
Aye, there's Freemasons in there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and then they're doing it with the police, and they're doing it with the court. We're writing letters to the court and the police, and not the police, the council, and we get in the reply direct from the system, from the bailiffs. For correspondence, we send on the internal system to the council or to the court. One of them, one lady, Margaret Bass, in the Nottingham Magistrate Court, she's sending a sick note when she was staying at her friend's address that she couldn't attend the court because she's sick. Now the lawyer sent her a letter at the friend's address. So now the only way they could have got the friend's address is they have access to the court file with her private and confidential medical details. So they're in there. Yeah, and this is the dark state. Yeah. The council, the police,
two books. The two books of accounting.
The council, the police, and the local authority. We did a video with some chap called Tariq about this because we haven't put it out yet. It's called the Pyramid of Terror, because these three parts, it's all the places you can go to get a remedy. But if they all hook up as a gang, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So in his case, he had a restaurant, and he had a illegal eviction from the restaurant with a bailiff with a fake warrant. The police come, beat him up. They took all his belongings. Now it turns out his landlord is an ex-councillor called Andrew Lamont. So Andrew Lamont is being assisted by the police with an illegal bailiff, a fake warrant, beat the guy up, and then to rub salt in the wound, when you Google Andrew Lamont, he's on the sex offenders register.
With 18,000 indecent images of children as young as 8 and animals. And
So
categories one high.
So these people are getting assistance with fake warrants by with the police assistant, and the member of the public running his business is getting physically beaten up, and the bailiff is totally fake. He's not, you know, and this is just a repeat pattern over and over everywhere. So the police are actually being totally, or to a large extent, you know, there are good police officers, as far as I know, but they've been taken over, hijacked, infiltrated by these people acting in support. All they do, we have a court order. That's it. That's the scam. That's why I call the thing court order scam. You did the same thing, and it's a violent crime. You do it and you say you have a court order, and all of a sudden you're respectable. You're doing you're enforcing the law.
We've got to empower these police with every bit of knowledge. That knowledge too.
Well, I think, to be honest, between you and me, yeah. However, whatever John Hurst is saying, or however much knowledge you want to have, it's bullshit. Yeah. You tell me a policeman don't know if there's a good warrant or not. What education do you need?
Well, can I just give an example?
Yeah.
Police don't even know that they're on the exemption list for not wearing masks. That's how thick they are.
You think they don't know?
Well, they're all walking around wearing them. And when you approach them and tell them, they look at each other like they're dumbfounded.
Oh, sorry, I missed your point, Victoria. The police are on the exemption list and they're still wearing it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
That's how dumb they are.
I mean, I don't underestimate the enemy, but the people that the enemy use against you, don't overestimate them. don't give the police more credit than the Jew. They are just order followers. They have no morals.
And you know what else? I saw a video the other day, and this cop has gone into a shop, and he says to this poor Indian lad, he goes, "I've just saw you serve 3 people with no masks." Yeah. He said, "The next time I come in, that's a 10 grand fine, I'm telling you." And I was like, all right, so you're going to charge him 10 grand because he didn't commit an act of discrimination?
He didn't break the law.
Yeah, but
he didn't do what they told him to do.
Yeah, but let's look at it from my perspective, the way I look at it. Italy, the police were behind the people eventually.
Yes, I know, but there's
I saw this. It's fantastic.
As well.
And that is happening in Spain too. If we can do that in this country too, that's what I'd like. That would be the ideal thing. If we can educate these police on all levels too, I don't believe all. We're not talking about chiefs.
No, I know a lovely cop. There is a couple of good ones.
At the bottom, the normal person just like us, you know. We're not talking about the chiefs of police. They're all cabal. We know that. The judges, the politics, they're all cabal in that same setting. They've all paid for, you know. We're talking about the lower level people just like us, working class police officers who just go to work every day and they're just doing what they're told.
There was a lad wrote on the UK column site, he put a letter in, a good officer, who said he was struggling with how some of the others were following the COVID rules when he knew that wasn't what the police oath was about at all. and that he knew he was going to have to take a stand at some point, and he was prepared to do that. And I just really felt for him. I think there's lots of people.
The confusion with a lot of them as well is the fact that it applies to the straw man, regardless to whether it applies for the straw man or not. Like, you know, Baron David Ward, as you know, an affidavit of truth, yeah, unrebutted is the truth in law, yeah. So therefore, that means even as the legal fiction, the Mr. Andrew Devine, yeah. I want to see where Mr. Andrew Devine gave you any authority, because without Mr. Andrew Devine's wetting signature, there is no consent, and there is no authority, and there is no compliance. There's no contract. So, and in their own laws, yeah, it stipulates it requires your consent for it to be enforced.
Yeah.
So these are the rules and regulations. But the best thing, I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, for the police, as far as the police are concerned, right, yeah, they just need to know that, you know, what they're enforcing is correct. And they must do their due diligence, and they must understand that the Nuremberg trials came once, and they're going to come back again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and all these police are doing what they're doing. Yeah, history is going to repeat itself, and they are going to be the ones that are in trouble because they enforced it.
Yeah,
those at the top, they just said it. You shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
you know, that's all they're going to say. Look at all what's happening to the veterans.
And this is why we need to empower them with that knowledge.
Correct. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to speak to the police all the time. It's the police I'm speaking to. Yeah. Because look, lads, you've been, you know, you're missing a point here, and your ignorance, as you tell us very plainly, is no excuse. So your ignorance is no excuse, especially when I've been telling you and showing you all these things. When the time comes, yeah, when that Nuremberg Treaty comes again and it falls in place, and it will do, because we are in war. There is a martial law lockdown across the planet, I can assure you. Yeah. And it's going to come, and that day when that does, then they're going to have to answer for their actions, as we all are.
Well,
as we all are.
Well, listen, I put the latest update to the petition there.
I've just put it in the Telegram.
Where the Attorney General himself been caught up making false High Court orders. You can't get it better than this. In 1 week, we got the Attorney General and the Commissioner.
Yeah.
It's Kirsty. Let me put the other one. Kirsty the Dick.
Dick in the following week,
yeah.
And then don't forget also you got Priti Patel, was it, who as soon as we did all this, she came out and said that they've lost, was it 400,000, 500,000 files?
Yes,
I ask you a question. If you didn't have something, how can you lose it?
Yeah, good point.
So why is she? Oh, because she's on a television, yeah, that you need a license, and you have a license to do anything you choose, yeah, to break the law. And that's exactly what they're doing. All these have got licenses because that's the legal. Legal is the undoing of God's law. And that is exactly what they're doing. They're keeping it away from that. They can lie to us, they can deceive. It's Roman rule. Yeah? Let those that are deceived be deceived. If I can pull you into a building and convince you it's a court, and serve you a fine and take your property and take your children off, that's your fault, because you didn't ask us to prove that it was a court or not.
Yeah. Listen, I'm putting in here the one with Kirsty the Dick as well, the link. It goes through the petition. So while you're reading the article, it gives people a chance to sign the petition. But I'm putting the link for the case management file for people to request their case management. I don't know if anyone wants to share it. Request your
I'm doing now. I'm putting into the Telegram file.
Yeah, you copy and paste it for everybody.
Yeah.
What's your Telegram group called, Dean?
Andrew will add you in.
Okay.
I can't get it. I can't find him. I'm shadow banned, by the way, maximum. I can't even comment on people's videos on YouTube. I tried to comment the other day on Andrew's, and it's just blocking my. I can't post them.
To find you on Telegram, I need your mobile number, because it's the only way you can find
someone.
Yeah,
it's 0797. Shall I put it in here?
Yeah.
Put it in there if you don't want to read it out, because it's still recording, remember?
No, it's not. It's stopped. Oh, yours is still recording.
Mine's still recording. Has everyone stopped? Well, I
think mine is running.
Anything said that it shouldn't go out? Is there anything been said that shouldn't go out?
No. Put it all out there.
Okay. Right. I'll end the recording now then.
All right.
I'll just end this recording.
Can I go? Can we?
Yeah. I'm only stopping the recording. The video's still going.
Okay. I'm gonna run.